We be live. Shalom, shalom, everyone. How's my audio? Make sure you like the stream. Let me know in the live chat if my audio is good. And thank you to Sarah. Sarah, thank you for being here, highlighting the comments. Amazing. Guys, make sure you give me your opinions in the live chat because your opinions will be highlighted by Sarah. And that way you get to be part of the show. How's my audio? Am I clear? Let me know. Let me know, everyone. Okay, the live chat is busy. Thank you all for being here. Please confirm in the live chat that you have liked the stream so that other people get encouraged to like as well. I want to give you some information that you're not going to get anywhere else, at least not on the English speaking YouTube channels. And this is some in-depth insider analysis on Iranian politics that I think it needs to be out there just so that there are a lot of, I noticed there are some people who watch this channel just to get a deeper analysis for what's happening in Iran for their own YouTube channels, which is good because if this is not out there, nobody's going to be telling you these in English, right? So let's give some background. I was looking for a video if I could find it. If any Iranians who have access to my Telegram, if they could send me the video of Rohani being attacked in the 22 Bahman March the government did. Can you send that to me? Because I want to send it to me on Telegram because I'm trying to show that on this show. But anyways, let me give you the context for everyone else. So what am I talking about? Yes, Trump basically changed everything, changed the game. The whole situation in Gaza, in Iraq, in Lebanon, in Syria, and now as we are talking to it today in Iran is dramatically changing, and the reactions from their Iranian regime is not being analyzed properly by the people who seem to act like they're experts on this topic, right? So there's the narrative is changing, shifting because Trump is changing the game. The reactions from the Iranian regime is also changing, and it's changing in different ways by different people. And a lot of people cannot seem to understand the contradictions, or they act like something Pezeshkian is saying is the same thing that Khamenei is saying, is the same thing that somebody else is saying. It's a whole mess. Like, it's a lot more complicated than a lot of people seem to understand. And the people who watch this channel will have a much better understanding of what the hell is going on than most people, including the so-called experts out there, right? Let me see if anybody's gonna send me that Rohani. Let me actually see if I could find it myself. I'll start with Khamenei speaking first. And well, actually, no, let's start with Ghalibaf. This is Khamenei, guys. Do you guys know who this guy is? Like, I'm hoping that most of my audience here on YouTube knows who this guy is. Okay, it's not just the people are like, oh, the supreme leader of Iran. Yeah, but he's basically most of the power of the Iranian politics. Okay, so a lot of people who do not understand how Iranian politics works, they're waiting to see what the president is about to say about what Trump has done, the threats that Trump has made to the Iranian regime, and they don't understand that the president is basically nothing. Like, he has almost zero power. I will show you what the president has said, and I will also show you why that completely falls in line with what Khamenei has been wants him to do. Like, it's all within Khamenei's plan. So for people who might be new here, Khamenei and IRGC are the two main powers in Iranian politics, right? So the presidency, the parliament, which in Iran we call it the Majlis, the ministers, and even the court, right? The Supreme Court. All of that is just a show. All of that is just they all submit everything that I just mentioned: the presidency, his cabinet, the ministers, basically the Majlis or the parliament, all the courts. They submit to the will of these two entities in Iran: the office of the supreme leadership, which is this guy right here, Khamenei, and 2, IRGC, okay, which is more of a military arm of Iranian politics. Okay, that's the 2 main powerhouses. And over the past few years, the power is shifting from the supreme leader more and more towards IRGC, right? And when this guy dies, then the current analysis is that IRGC will become supreme, and all of the Iranian politics will be under their control if the regime is not toppled by then. Okay, so let's get into this. We're ready, right? Like we got the context. Let's see what Khamenei is saying. So I have 3 videos of Khamenei. 2 of them were before Trump and came and offered and mentioned his signed the executive order putting maximum pressure on the Islamic Republic. And the third one that I will show you comes after they saw what's in it, what's in the executive order that Trump signed. Okay, so there is a escalation here happening, right? So let me show you what Khamenei said before. Okay, let me see if people here. You're talking about. Okay, so I don't know what you guys are talking about. Let me. I will only read some deep thought by you guys. Okay, it's like if your takes is too basic, it has to be in question form, so I at least I could take it seriously. But let's listen to Khamenei. So remember the first 2 videos, he goes back and forth. First, he's signaling that he is not going to talk to United States. He's basically making it clear. And when Khamenei sets the stage that what's about to happen, what we can do and what we cannot do as the Iranian regime, everybody else listens. Unless he talks to the reformers behind the scenes and tells them to do something else. But let's listen to this.
بعضیا میگن آقا شما که نسبت به آمریکا نه حاضرید مذاکره کنید، نه حاضرید ارتباط برقرار کنید با کشورهای اروپایی. خب اونا مثل آمریکان چه فرقی میکنه؟
So he's saying some people criticize us that why you guys, they tell the Iranian regime, you guys are not willing to negotiate with the United States. You're not willing to even talk to the United States. How come you guys negotiate with Europe? How come you guys talk to Europe? They are the same. Europe and United States are the same. Why do you talk to Europe but not talk to the United States?
با اونا چرا؟ ارتباط دارید؟ خب هم دیگه او سفارت داره، اینم داشته باشه.
So you have embassies of European countries in Iran. Why can't the United States have a embassy in Iran?
با او ارتباط دارید. نه، فرق هست.
He says, no, there's a difference. He's saying there's a difference between Europe and the United States.
فرق این است که آمریکا اینجا تملک کرده بود، از کف او قبضه او بیرون کشیده شد. کینه او نسبت به کشور و انقلاب کینه شطوریه.
So تملک کرده بود. I think he's saying that United States wanted to gain ownership over this country. Let me actually make sure I get the best proper translation. Tamalluk. Yeah, so United States wanted to possess Iran, and because of the Islamic republics, because the Islamic Revolution of 1979, they lost their possession, and they were basically they had a kine. Kine means like they were they had a grudge. Yes, grudge. Yeah, kine would be grudge, right? Kine. They had a hatred, grudge, yes. So because their plans failed, like the United States wanted to possess Iran, and because of the Islamic Revolution of 1979, they lost that hopes and dream. They have a grudge over Iran that the European countries basically don't have.
به این آسونی ها دست بردار نیست. این فرق میکنه با فلان کشور اروپایی.
Yeah, saying this is like, and because of that, the United States is not going to let go of Iran, and that's the difference between United States and European countries.
بله اون کشور اروپایی هم دوست عزیز کرده ملت ایران نیست، اینو میدونیم.
Like it's true that European countries are not the dear friends of the nation of Iran as well, right? So he's saying like it's not like we're very very basically what he's trying to say is that we're not very friendly with European countries. Like it's not like they are our dear friends, but he's basically trying to suggest that they're kind of better. They're a little bit
ما
better than United States.
اما این با اون خیلی فرق داره.
Like this and that, they're very different.
آمریکا یک ثروت عظیم، یک امکان عظیم سیاسی و اقتصادی رو با انقلاب اسلامی از دست داده.
So he's saying United States has lost a huge wealth, a huge political and economic opportunity because of that they basically saw in Iran because of the 1979 Islamic Revolution. So they lost so much, which is so. By the way, when I was showing this on the on our Persian channel, Jumhuriye Bi Khudayan, I and many of the people in the audience got so angry of him saying that because the actual people who have lost a huge amount of wealth and political and economic opportunity are the Iranian people. They are the ones who lost all these opportunities because of the 1979 Islamic Revolution. But yeah, but he's saying it was the United States that, I mean, technically he's right. The whole world lost a huge opportunity because a strong, economically prosperous, free Iran is good for Iranian people and it's good for American people and it's good for everyone in the world. So yeah, everyone lost the opportunity here, but the main people who lost opportunity are the Iranian people. That's the number one people. I mean, go look at the situation right now in Iran. It's devastating. I'm not going to do a show here on the English channel because I don't know if you guys are not going to be that much interested in economic reports of what's happening. But the country, a country that is reaching on a vast amount of oil and gas, is now having power outages. A crazy amount of power outages. You cannot explain that with sanctions, because sanctions on the Iranian regime only stops things from coming in. But you are already sitting on shit ton of energy. How are you having power outages? Like crazy amount of power outages. Factories are closing. It's now people are freezing in their homes right now. Even in not I'm not talking about villages. I'm talking about the main cities. That is insane. That is insane that this is happening in such an energy-rich country, and all of this happening in a country with the most potential. Like before the 1979 Islamic Revolution, during the Pahlavi dynasty, the Iranian economy was growing so rapidly. People were calling it a miracle. If that revolution did not happen, by now Iran would have had an economy something between South Korea and Germany, based on economic reports. If the revolution did not happen, it would be the most prosperous country in the Middle East, as it was back then. I mean, like during the Pahlavi dynasty, not economically, Iran was a superpower in the region, and politically also. When it comes to education, healthcare, everything, they were growing, and in some cases they were even ahead of some European countries. All of that was stopped because of the 1979 Islamic Revolution. And he's saying that the Americans have a grudge over Iran because of the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Well, what about the Iranian people? They have even a bigger grudge because of all the things they lost. Anyways, I got distracted a little bit. Let's go back to him.
بعد هم تو این 40 و چند سال چقدر خرج کرده برای اینکه بتوانه مجددا ایران رو از چنگ انقلاب اسلامی بیاره بیرون.
So he did an oopsie. Here he did a huge oopsie. Okay, so here he was saying that during these 40 some years, basically since 1979, United States has spent so much money to try to get Iran back from, and here's what the words that he used here, from the claws of the Islamic Republic. He actually used the word claws, and the problem is that word is usually used for something evil, and he misused the word, because they usually, when they say claw within, I don't know if this is also true within English literature, but within Persian sayings, if you're trying to free something from something else, the evil being has claws. You know what I mean? Like when you say freeing something from someone else's claws, if that would be something good, the person that has captured you that is evil, they have the claws. Good things are not usually referred to as things that have claws. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So a lot of people, Iranians, were making fun of him because he actually noticed that he paused for a second, trying to correct him, but it was but it was too late. A lot of people are like, yes, we are trying to, like, we are freeing Iran from the claws of the Islamic Republic. That clause is actually the proper term. Like that was I don't know, a Freudian slip or whatever, but that was a huge moment of oopsie that was a lot of Iranian people noticed. So yeah, something like a vampire or a wolf has, something, I don't know, like within poetry, within literature, usually when you refer to something having its claws on you, that thing is the evil one, right? So listen to this part again.
تو این 40 و چند سال چقدر خرج کرده برای اینکه بتوانه مجددا ایران رو از چنگ انقلاب اسلامی بیاره بیرون.
Oh, so he was going to say Islamic Republic, but then he said Islamic Revolution. He says United States has spent so much money to get Iran from the clause, and then he was going to say the Islamic Republic, and he changed it to the Islamic Revolution. I think he wanted to correct the clause part, but then he corrected different part, but he kept the clause, which is really a mess up, huge mess up here.
در اختیار خودش قرار بگیره.
Yeah, somebody in the live chat is asking, when will this demon croak already? So when he's gonna die? Well, honestly, I don't know if we want him to die yet. It's a lot of Iranians are saying that it's actually good for him to be alive for two reasons. One is, some people are saying it's good that he's seeing the downfall of everything he built, like everything falling apart. People want him to see that. But a more practical reason why people are saying that maybe it's good that he's alive, and I'm not saying this is correct or not, I'm just saying some people are saying that, is because he is so insistent on not negotiating with the United States. And some Iranian people are saying, well, that's great, because we don't want them, because that will make their demise of the Islamic Republic faster. If this man dies, whoever comes in his place might open the door to actually saying yes to Trump's demands, and that will give them more life. So people want the fact that Khamenei, like a lot of people are celebrating, a lot of anti-regime Iranians are celebrating how Khamenei is refusing to negotiate or talk to the United States. And they're saying that this is actually good. Let him keep doing that, because that will make the maximum pressure continue, and that will mean that the Islamic Republic will fall faster, right? So that's what they're saying. So let's continue.
و نتوانسته این کینش با جمهوری اسلامی با کینه فلان کشور دیگه فرق داره، خیلی فرق داره.
So he's saying this grudge, because the United States has spent so much money to get back Iran. These people, by the way, he's delusional. He has these conspiracy theories. But because they're unable to, that means that they have such a huge grudge, and that's why they're different from Europe. And that's why we can't talk to them. Okay, so that's why we can't talk to the United States. So that was his first message. This is less than a month ago, what I'm just showing you, right? And then a few days after, another speech came from him, and that was this one. Okay, so let me tell you what's happening here, right? So in this speech, a lot of reformers, right? So remember, Iranian politics, we have the reformers, we have the hardliners, and within reformers, we have different camps, and within hardliners, we have different camps. And unlike what most analysts will tell you, reformers are currently better for Khamenei and more in line with his plan than the hardliners. The actual problem Khamenei is having right now within Iranian politics is the hardliners. So this is why people like the Iranians like me who want the regime to topple, we are actually see more of an enemy. Like we see the reformers within the Iranian politics, the so-called reformers, as a bigger problem than the hardliners. The hardliners are actually so divided, and there's so much infighting happening within the hardliners that we're just grabbing our popcorn and watching it and enjoying it, and we think that they are actually helping us indirectly, basically topple the regime. The reformers right now are the best hope that Khamenei has. And this, what I'm about to play you, this video, so let me see how many minutes this is. This one is only 30 seconds long. This part of his speech was interpreted by reformists in Iran as the green light to go talk to Trump. And you have to read in between the lines. Okay. And by the way, I'm not reading in between. Like, if you think like, oh, Armin is just making stuff up. No. I will give you the interpretations, but I will also give you the facts. The fact is, so you might disagree with the interpretation, but the fact is that the reformers came out in waves all over social media and everywhere and took this as a green light. So whether it was a green light or not a green light, it was interpreted by that's a fact, that it was interpreted as a green light to go talk to Trump. And also many hardliners themselves also decided that this was Khamenei giving the green light to the reformers to go talk to Trump. And I will also tell you what the hardliners who continue supporting Khamenei, what excuse they came up with to justify this, because they don't want to talk to Trump. The hardliners are against the regime talking to Trump, but they came up with a justification for this green light. So let's listen to this and understand why this was a green light. So watch this.
پشت لبخندهای دیپلماسی اینجور دشمنی‌ها، اینجور کینه‌ها، این باطن خبیث.
So he's saying behind the smiles, these diplomats, behind the diplomacy that these Western countries are having with us, like their diplomats, behind their smiles, there's a lot of grudge. There's a lot of hatred. So basically, he's suggesting that the diplomats of the Western countries, they come and talk to you. They're smiling at you. They're being nice to you, but that's just a cover. Behind that smile, there's a lot of grudge. There's a lot of hatred for us like Iran. He thinks he's Iran, but he's not. But anyways, let's continue. So like, let's open our eyes. Let's keep our eyes open. So now he's okay. So he, in between speaking Persian, he speaks Arabic, and when he's speaking Arabic, he's quoting the Quran, probably, or maybe the Nahj al-Balagha. I don't know. Okay, but a lot of Iranians, when they watch the supreme leader and they trying to analyze it, like the anti-regime people, every time he speaks Arabic, they're like, "Hey, who are you talking to?" Like I said that on the Persian show when he's speaking Arabic in between Persian. Like, we don't understand. Like, this is a sign that you are not our government. You are not our representative. How many Iranians speak Arabic? What percentage of Iranians speak Arabic? Very little. Even though we studied Arabic in high school, throughout high school, we only studied it to pass exams. We can't speak Arabic. The vast majority of us, we don't understand Arabic and we don't speak Arabic. And the fact that our so-called leaders constantly speak Arabic in between their Persian just shows like, okay, you are not talking to us. I don't know who you're talking to, but it's not us. I mean, maybe you're talking to your own religious. I mean, I don't want to insult Arabic and the Arabic people, but Iranian people don't speak Arabic. Then who are you talking to? And also, when he's speaking Arabic, he's basically saying, quoting the Quran or Nahj al-Balagh. So he's like, the reason why he's speaking Arabic in the middle of his Persian is that he's trying to use Islamic, like Quranic justification for the policies that he is basically advocating for, right? So I don't know what he's saying every time he switches to Arabic. I'm assuming it's a quotation from Quran saying, like, when he said, like, oh, we have to keep our eyes open, and then he speak Arabic. So he probably quoted something from the Quran saying that you need to keep your eyes open.
چشمامون رو باز کنیم. تسرون الیهم بالموده نباشه.
No, so Heavy Greta is saying it sounds like he's talking to the Sunni world, maybe. I mean, even Shias are mostly like, okay, so no, that's not what he's doing. He's basically showing that he has Quranic credentials, like he knows the Quran and he just can bring up a verse to justify his politics at any moment. That's what he's flexing with his Quran knowledge. Basically, that's what's happening.
حواسمون باشه که با کی مواجهیم، با کی معامله میکنیم، با کی در...
So he's saying we have to, so here's the green light. Here's the green light. He says we have to be mindful about who we're talking to, who we are doing a deal with.
با کی مواجهیم، با کی معامله میکنیم، با کی داریم حرف میزنیم. این رو
Who are we talking
بدانیم.
to?
این رو بدانیم.
We have to know this. So what does this mean? What this means, it seemed to everybody. So here's the thing. Khamenei is basically stuck, right? He cannot say directly, okay, fine, my reformist government, Araghchi, which is the foreign minister, or Pezeshkian, which is the president, or Zarif, which nobody even... Oh, Susie is here. Hi, Susie. Nobody... Like Zarif has his own... Zarif is the main guy that they send out to do the government's bidding, even though the hardliners hate with passion. Hate him with passion, right? So these are the main three guys right now: Pezeshkian, Zarif, and Araghchi. Pezeshkian is the president, the so-called reformers president. Araghchi is his foreign minister, the president's foreign minister, and Zarif, which was an official in the previous reformist government under Rohani, is now basically doing so much without actually having any official position under Pezeshkian's government. Because, and a lot of people know this, Zarif, even though he's hated so much by all the hardliners, is Khamenei's direct person to go talk to foreigners, to Westerners, right? So, but Khamenei, if he comes and says, like, listen, people, listen, the hardliners, who would die for me, who are so Islamic, who are so basically very ideal, they are basically more Islam focused than pragmatic, right? And these are the people who listen to every single word that Khamenei is saying and interpret it and try to, and they treat it like it's a revelation from God, like it's the Quran itself, right? But he has to be careful. Khamenei has to try to say that I'm allowing the reformers to go talk to Trump without saying it so directly. He has to have a little bit of a plausible deniability, because the hardliners are so sensitive regarding any negotiations with Trump that if Khamenei says that out loud and directly, that would be such a taboo that more hardliners would turn on him, and that would basically mean the end of the regime. And I will show you that sensitivity in the next videos that are coming up. Okay, but when he said that we have to keep the Americans, basically these people, they're diplomats, they're liars, they have this mask on. When they're smiling, there's actually grudge and hatred behind that. So when we are talking to them, we have to keep our eyes open and we have to know who we're talking to. So reformers came out in waves and said, oh, Khamenei is saying go talk to them. However, be mindful of the true nature of these Westerners. So this was the green light that the reformers just took and went like, oh, look, hey, hardliners, shut up. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Look, Khamenei, because Khamenei behind the scenes tells the reformers to do what they're doing, but he doesn't usually come and defend them publicly, given how he knows how much his base hates them. But when the reformers are under so much attack and so much pressure, Khamenei needs to sometimes come out a little bit and get the hardliners to tone it down a little bit by showing the reformers a little bit of love. And recently Khamenei actually came out just yesterday and showed a lot of love to Pezeshkian, because Pezeshkian is just is under so much pressure from within Iran itself. So this was the green light. This was seen as the green light. And then Trump came and said, because guys, they need to negotiate. Like the Iranian regime, if they do not negotiate with Trump and if they do not accept his deal, then they're going to be in a world of hurt, because Trump is going to do maximum pressure. That means zero sale of oil and gas in a situation where they're already bankrupt. They cannot afford that. Like I don't know how to explain to you how dire the situation right now is for the Islamic Republic from a financial perspective. And now Trump went, but even after Trump even came out suggested that maybe even military intervention, which I'm not going to get into, because the next video that I'm going to show you was this one. This is the peak of the reaction. This video came out when Trump signed the executive order, after he signed the executive order, before Trump actually even suggested that they're going to do military attack and military intervention. Let me actually see. I might actually want to go dig on Telegram and find you even more videos if I can, because there's so much new stuff that just came out that I might want to show you, right? So in that executive order, it was, the pressure was beyond what the Islamic Republic was anticipating, because Trump was signaling that all he wants was for the Iranian regime not to have nuclear weapons. And the Iranian regime was kind of signaling that, you know what, maybe we can do that. Not Khamenei would never say that, but both Araghchi, which is the foreign minister, and the vice president, which are both of these people are part of the reformist government, both of them at that point came out and said, yeah, sure, no problem. Because and they were referring to the fatwa that Khamenei gave himself regarding the Iranian regime never wanting nuclear weapon anyways. And like, well, we already have that fatwa. So if Trump wants us not to have nuclear weapon, that's an easy thing to give. And that statement by Araghchi, that statement by the vice president was attacked by hardliners so much, because he was talking about Trump as if he's a respected person. And remember, one reason why hardliners are very, very, very against talking to Trump or negotiating with him is because Trump killed Qasem Soleimani. So remember, Qasem Soleimani is like a saint to the hardliners in Iran. They worship the man. That man has turned into a literal saint to the hardliners in Iran, and Trump is his murderer. So talking to Trump is an absolute admission of defeat. There cannot be anything more humiliating for this regime to go and do a deal with the murderer, as they would say, the murderer of Qasem Soleimani. Oh, by the way, Nina, thank you so much for the membership gift. I really appreciate that. And also, Uriel, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. So yeah, you guys, This is some really nuanced stuff that you're not going to hear anywhere else. And I know this is getting so nerdy that is not going to get as much views. But if you're this interested into getting into this detailed, please like and share, and financial support and all of that really helps. Okay, because I need to know if there's a demand for this. This is getting deep into stuff that nobody else talks about. Yes, Susanna is saying Zarif, also known warm friends of John Kerry. Susie, I think he's going to talk about that. Khamenei is going to talk about that in right here in this video. Okay, so at first, remember the two first video that I showed you was before the signing of the executive order, and at that point, the Iranian regime thought that Trump only cares about the Iranian regime not having nuclear weapon, and they thought we could work with that. We could work with that to make sure that we don't get maximum pressure. But as Trump was signing the executive order, while he was also repeating the fact that the only thing I want is for them not to become nuclear, the executive order itself was asking for so much more than just denuclearization. The executive order that Trump signed was asking for a limitation of ballistic missiles, supporting terrorism in the region, and so much more. And it was so humiliating that the regime, Trump was asking for something that anybody who follows the Iranian regime knows that it would be almost impossible for them to accept this, because it's an absolute surrender. Actually, before I play this video from Khamenei, let me let Ghalibaf explain this to you. So who is this guy? Ghalibaf is the head of the parliament in Iran, the head of the Majlis. Okay, Majlis is the Iranian parliament. Okay, let's listen to what he says. Okay, and he will explain what that executive order is, and then I will show you the reaction of Khamenei. So let's listen to this first.
دیروز مقام معظم رهبری شفاف و روشن در ارتباط با بحث مذاکره موضع گرفت. خب این وفاق معناش هم اینجاست دیگه. یعنی
So he's saying yesterday, Khamenei, he's saying the supreme leader, came out and took a very clear position against negotiating with Trump. Again, basically, he's referring to that video that I just had on screen that I didn't play yet, because I want Ghalibaf to tell you why now they're all in line, right? So before Trump signed the executive order, we had the hardliners like, no, this government should not negotiate. Why are we negotiating? And the reformers saying, like, we need to negotiate. We have no other choice. This is a huge, like, we have to talk to them. The situation is really bad. Economically, we will be eliminated if we do not talk to Trump and stuff like that. And then after Trump signed the executive order, now they're all in line. Reformer, hardliner, up, down, everybody, the parliament, the ministries, the presidency, everybody are like, okay, fuck you to the United States. We're not going to negotiate. So Ghalibaf is saying that, and they're all now referring to Khamenei's words, saying like Khamenei made it very clear that there's no negotiation, right? So let's continue. And so he says that when we're talking about unity, wefaq, is that the good translation? Dolat wefaq. Yeah, unity. Okay. So because he's saying we need to have unity. So he's saying when we speak of unity, now everything is clear. So why is he talking about unity? Why is this man talking about unity? Because there's division. There's huge division within Iranian politics. And he's now saying, now that Khamenei came out and made it clear that there's no negotiation, we need the government of unity that we talked about. Now we need that. Okay, we all need to basically everybody get in line. Khamenei has made it clear that there's no negotiations. Okay, so let's continue.
از رئیس محترم جمهور اینه که این فرمایش حضرت آقا ابلاغ شده ایشون حتما از یعنی معناش هم اینجاست دیگه یعنی بنده الان حتما توقعم از یعنی توقع و مطالبه از رئیس محترم جمهور اینه که این فرمایش حضرت آقا ابلاغ شده.
So he's saying, so this is our expectation from our president now, that this order has been given from our supreme leader. So this has to be done. So guys, for people who think that the president has any will or any power within Iran, look at this. So first of all, the elections in Iran are fake, right? But even if they were not fake, you could see that the will of the people means nothing. So the reason why maybe some Iranians will go vote for Pezeshkian is because they want the government of Iran to talk to United States. They want something like that. I mean, most Iranians don't vote because they don't think that they don't consider voting to do anything. But even among the people who actually end up being fooled by the government and voting, most of them would vote for someone like Pezeshkian because they want Pezeshkian to go and maybe talk to United States and do a deal so that the economic conditions in Iran gets better. But as you can see, when the order comes from Khamenei, who's not an elected official, then the president is supposed to follow the orders of the supreme leader. The will of the people be damned, right? So let's continue.
ایشون حتما هم شخصا خودشون هم دوستانشون رو در دولت باید به این سمت ببرن که بر اساس فرامین حضرت آقا کار رو پیش ببریم.
So he's saying now that their supreme leader has said that, our president has to take the direction of the government and everybody in the government to basically abide by Khamenei, by what the supreme leader has said. So we could do our work. Oh, so he's like, let's not be polarized. So it's important for us not to be polarized. So guys, when I'm showing you these things, please understand that all the previous streams, when I'm talking about division within the regime, I'm not making this shit up. The fact that the head of the parliament, Ghalibaf, is now so concerned, like, guys, let's not be polarized on this. He's saying that because they are polarized on this. Like between the people who want for, like, we shouldn't be polarized based on being for the negotiations or against negotiations. Like, why am I saying this again? He's saying if since last night that Khamenei said that. By the way, he doesn't say Khamenei. He says like our Lord, Agha, like, so our Lord said that. Since our Lord said that, I'm seeing even some people are still talking polarized on this topic within Jabheh Enqilab. Jabheh Enqilab means the revolutionary front, and basically he's talking about the hardliners, right? So it's very interesting because a lot of people think that the divide in Iran is between the pro-regime people and the anti-regime people. But there's a divide. There's absolutely a divide there, but there's more division. And then some people are like, okay, beyond that, there's a divide between hardliners and reformers. Okay, yeah, that divide also exists. But now we're talking about a divide within the hardliners. See, the fact that he says there's a polarization within the revolutionary front, he's talking about a divide between the hardliners themselves that exists, and he's basically upset that how is this divide still there even after our Lord has came and made it clear what the position should be. So remember, there's 3 levels of division. One level that most people are familiar with, anti-regime, pro-regime. The second level is reformers versus hardliners. But the most important and problematic division right now that Ghalibaf and everybody and the IRGC and the Office of the Supreme Leadership is trying to deal with, and you can see here he's upset about it, that it's not being dealt with, is the divide. The third level is the divide between hardliners themselves, right?
حضرت آقا با بحث‌های گذشته مذاکره بله یا نه اصلا ماهیتش متفاوته. آقا همین اشاره کردن. گفتم که
He's like, wait, so he's saying what our Lord, what the Supreme Leader has said, the essence of it, the very of that is completely different from what he has said before.
که اصلا این موضوعات فرمایش حضرت آقا با بحث دو مرتبه یک دو قطبی مذاکره مذاکره نه که اصلا این موضوعات فرمایش حضرت آقا با بحث‌های گذشته مذاکره بله یا نه اصلا ماهیتش متفاوته. آقا همینجا اشاره کردن گفتم که مذاکره که امر طبیعی است، ما با همه کشورهای دنیا حرف میزنیم صحبت میکنیم. مگه شهید رئیسی در رابطه با مذاکره با اروپا در رابطه با همین برجام
He's saying negotiations is something natural that we do negotiations with everything. Didn't our last president Raisi, didn't he have negotiations with Europe?
صحبت نمی‌کردم. آقا که مانعی که با اروپا صحبت کنید در فرمایشات چه نه.
Oh yeah, so he's saying the supreme leader said our Lord had no problem with our negotiations with them. Oh, so he's saying the essence of it is different. So I think he's suggesting that the essence, our negotiations with the United States is completely different than with Europeans. I think that's what he's saying. So he's saying our Lord said that we will not negotiate with the United States. That's what our Lord said. And that was clear, and that was the end of it. Period. So that's the end of it. That doesn't mean that we do not negotiate with other people. Okay, so by the way, so the idea is that Pezeshkian earlier had came out and said that we negotiate with everybody except Israel, right? Everybody except Israel. So Pezeshkian, the president, but that means that everyone except Israel. That means that that means that the doors to negotiation with United States is open. But the supreme leader came out and says, no, the exception is United States. We will negotiate with every country except United States. And Israel, he said, I don't even need to mention Israel because Israel is not even a country. Right? So we don't even need to include them as an exception because we don't even see them. So Khamenei made it clear that the exception is United States. We will negotiate with everybody except United States, and Israel is not even worth mentioning. So he's saying, like, basically here he says that he's basically repeating Khamenei's what Khamenei said, which is the exception is like we're not anti-negotiation. Like, don't accuse the Iranian government of being anti-negotiation. We negotiate with everybody. United States is the exception. Like somebody one time asked me if there's a difference between Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. And he said, yes, there's a difference. And he says the difference is that Trump is the murderer of Qasem Soleimani. Yeah, so we cannot see these two as the same. So I think he's trying to I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to defend his position before, because a lot of hardliners will attack him, Ghalibaf, that when you're saying there's a difference between Trump and Kamala Harris, you're kind of suggesting that there's a good America, there's a better version of America. If, for example, if Kamala Harris was elected. But he's saying, like, according to our supreme leader, the United States as a whole is evil, not just like Trump. But I think what he's doing here is trying to defend his previous position by saying, like, hey, I cannot say that they're the same. One of these two people killed Qasem Soleimani. So he's saying that we cannot ignore that. That's basically, there's a huge difference. Like, of course there's a difference. And he's saying when our Lord says that it's not honorable to talk to the United States, well, it is not honorable. Oh, here's the important part. This is what he's going to say right now is the reason why I'm playing you this video before I played the third video from Khamenei, his reaction after Trump signed the executive order. He's saying, I want you to please go read the order that's Trump signed. Go read the first section. Go read what they have, what he has signed. And now he's going to explain it. Okay, so. And like the issue is not just nuclear. It's not nuclear. It's not nuclear anymore. Okay, so he's saying the issue is not nuclear anymore. Basically the issue, the order has says nuclear, missiles,
و سلاح‌های نامتقارن و متعارف
and unconventional weapons and نامتقارن سلاح‌های نامتقارن asymmetric and unconventional weapons. So basically these are all part of the executive order that Trump signed.
معنی خلع سلاح کردن جمهوری اسلامی.
Like this, Khalisala would be disarm. Okay, so he says that this will mean the absolute disarming the Islamic Republic completely. He's basically suggesting that Trump is asking for completely disarming the Islamic Republic. That's what he's saying. Like this is the actual text. This is the actual. I'm telling you what has been written. The actual text on the paper.
یعنی این اومده از قبل یه متن رو گذاشته یک طرفه.
So this means that this person, Trump, has come and written a text that is completely one-sided. And by the way, when he said it's completely one-sided, we made fun of him on the Persian channel. And I'm like, what do you mean it's one-sided? Of course it's one-sided. When an ant is negotiating with an elephant, of course the demands of the elephant is going to be one-sided. What do you want it to be? You want it to be both sides having equal say? Do you understand your position within this negotiation? Like even that time that it wasn't one-sided, like basically the Obama deal, right? The nuclear deal that Obama signed with the Islamic Republic. He said, like, even though at that time it wasn't one-sided, they tore it apart. Trump tore that apart, and that went away. So even when the deal was so much better for them, Trump said no to that. So now what are we going to do? They want a deal that worse than that? And then Trump comes and says, like, well, I don't want to enforce these because Trump, that's what Trump said. Remember in the previous but come and accept these willingly yourself. Like that's what he's saying. That's what Trump said. But and if you don't accept it, we will do this and that. So Susanna is saying the regime thinking they are on equal footing is adorable. Yes, this was actually so pathetic. Yes, Susanna, you're right. They're like, hey, because a lot of times the regime officials come and says like, we want respect from United States if we wanted, like the reformers, because the hardliners will never talk about talking to United States, right? But the reformers, like, if we're going to talk to the United States, we have to be talking as equals. And a lot of Iranian people laugh at them. And like, Trump wouldn't even talk to Canada and France and Germany and Israel as equals. The most powerful countries in the world, Trump doesn't talk to them as equals. Why would they talk to you as equals? That is pathetic.
وفاق میزنیم پس یعنی دولت مجلس همه و بعدم همه تلاش کنیم پس یعنی دولت مجلس همه و بعدم همه تلاش کنیم تبیین کنیم.
Oh, okay, so this is very interesting. Okay, this part, this shows the desperation, guys. This is why we're talking about everything falling from within. look what he's nervous about. So it's like, given everything that he said, given how basically unrealistic the negotiation is, and given now that we saw Khamenei came out and made it very clear that there's a no to negotiations with the United States. Now we have to, if we're speaking of wifaq, meaning a government of unity, being unity, then we have to be united, basically. So that means that the government, the presidency, the parliament, and everyone else, we have to be basically united, and then we have to tab in. It means we have to go and do a jihad of convincing people. Guys, how do you translate tab in konim? Tab in konim. Explain, okay? And they call it jihad tab'in, which means a jihad of explanations. So he's saying, like, we have to go basically try to convince everybody to get on the same fucking page. Stop fighting with each other. Like this, our Lord has spoken. When our Lord speaks, that means that's the end of fighting. Let's all get on, convincing. Let's all get on the same fucking page. Right? That's what he's saying. To the people, also to explain to our people why we're not negotiating. So he wants to do the explanation, the jihad of explanation on the people. The reason why he's saying that is because they are afraid. So he's basically asking for two things: a unity between different regime officials, so stop the infighting within the regime itself, and also the people of Iran about to get fucked economically, right? And they were expecting us to at least maybe try to end the sanctions by talking to Trump. And apparently that's not going to happen, right? So remember, these people might have killed Raisi in a helicopter accident, to bring Pezeshkian into power, so that, because Raisi, the last president who died in a helicopter accident, he was a hardliner. So hardliners are against negotiation. And Khamenei doesn't want to take the responsibility of actually going in and doing the negotiations, right? So Khamenei wanted to negotiate with the United States without acting like he wants to negotiate with the United States. So they brought a reformist president into power so that reformist president could talk to the United States and do negotiations, and they could take the blame, and Khamenei could have plausible deniability, right? That was the plan, to have because having a hardliner government would mean that the Khamenei and his hardliner government would have to, if they wanted to talk to the United States, they would have to take the blame. Then the hardliners would turn on hardliners. That's the whole point of having reformers, right? The reformers are pretend reformers. They're actually there as a shield for blames for the supreme leader and the hardliners that are in power, right? So we have the hardliners that are in power and the hardliners who are not in power. The hardliners who are not in power are angry with the hardliners that are in power for not being hardliner enough. And the hardliners who are in power, they use the reformers when they need to do shit that is unpopular among hardliners, and so that they don't get the blame for it. So they're using the reformers as a human shield, right? So that was the whole point of having Pezeshkian. But now that we're seeing that Trump is asking for something that even a reformist government cannot accept, now the reformist government has to get in line with the hardliner Khamenei, and everybody just say, fuck you, America, together, right? Everybody unite. But now while we do that, we also have to go to the minority of the people who voted. That minority of the people who voted for Pezeshkian, because they were hoping for actually a negotiation. Now we have to go and convince people not to turn to anti-regime. So remember, we have the hardliners, we have the reform. So within the, I told you, within the government, we have the hardliners and we have the reformers. Within the people, we have three kinds of people. Okay, three kinds of politically active people. We have hardliners, we have reformers, and we have the barandos people. The barandos people are the people who want the regime to just go away. No reform, no nothing, just go away. That is the majority of the people, right? But between the people who are not barandas, who are not for toppling of the regime, we have hardliners and reformers. And the reformers within the people are higher than the hardliners. Like even the people who are not for toppling the regime, the hardliners are a minority. But given that the reformers, this was the last chance for the reformers to be relevant, because the reformers might have brought a negotiation with Trump. But given that there seems to be no negotiations, if things go this way, there's going to be no negotiations. Those last remaining reformers are more likely to just join us anti-government people the people who are for toppling, because they voted for Pezeshkian so that he could maybe remove the sanctions by talking to the United States. And if that road is closed to them, it's more likely that they're just going to join us. They're going to stop being reformers and they're just going to be full on for the toppling of the regime. So what Ghalibaf is saying is that we have to go and convince the people why we're not negotiating, like the reason why we're not negotiating with the United States. So this is what we're worried about. Oh, so we have to go tell the people, like, look at what Trump has written. Look, we cannot say yes to this. Like, guys, please do not topple us. Do not become the last remaining reformers among the people. Don't become barandos. Don't become for the toppling of the regime. This is the reason why we cannot say yes to Trump. Yeah, what do they want? What they have written and what they want from us. Okay, so now that you have that context about how insulted they were by the executive order that Trump has signed, let's now look at the phase 3 of Khamenei's speeches and how he reacted to Trump's executive order. Okay, so let's watch. Let me actually say, guys, I need somebody to send me I need somebody to send me Rohani in the Marasem 22 Bahman. If any Iranians on Telegram, if you have me on Telegram, please send me that video, because for some reason I can't find it. I really need to find that video. Okay, I can't find it right now, but let's watch this right now.
اولا مذاکره با آمریکا هیچ تأثیری در رفع مشکلات کشور نداره.
Okay, so this, I need to focus on Khamenei instead of looking for that video. This part was interesting. He said, like, first of all, talking to United States will have no impact on fixing the problems that we're having in the country, right? This is so interesting that he said that, because he was trying to say, by saying this, is that United States, even if we negotiate with them, they will do things that will be against us. So basically, even if we do a deal with them for them to do things that would be better for our country, at the end of the day, they will come backstab us and things will not actually be improved, right? However, many Iranians listen to this and they say, well, actually, he's correct about this, but not in the way he thinks. Because let's listen to it again. Let me translate it verbatim. It's like, first of all, negotiations with the United States
هیچ تأثیری در رفع مشکلات کشور نداره.
Has no impact on fixing the situations of the country. Oh, I see Sarah from Iran is here. Sarah, do you know which video I'm talking about? Rohani in Marasem 22 Bahman being attacked. If you can find that video and send it to me, that would be very great, because you have my Telegram. Okay, so the reason why a lot of Iranians were agreeing with this is because they're saying yes. So the only way things in Iran could get better is if you guys just go, right? So we have three attitudes in Iran. The hardliners think that no to negotiations with the United States because we are strong with the United States and fuck United States. They killed Qasem Soleimani. Then we have the Iranians who are reformers who are saying, please, please, officials negotiate with the United States. Our economy is going down the toilet and we cannot bear this anymore. Please, please have friendly relationships with all countries, including United States. And then we have the third group of Iranians who are saying, like, the problem we have is not whether or not we're talking to the United States. The problem we have is that the Islamic Republic is in power. So these are the bad end those people. They think that the reformist Iranians are delusional to think that maybe our lives would be better if this regime somehow manages to talk to the United States. They're like, this is a false hope. The only way our situation would get better is for this regime to topple. So the Barandas people are saying, actually, this is a rare, correct statement from Khamenei. Talking with the United States will not make our situation better. The only way for our situation to get better is for all of you to just go away.
اینو باید ما درست بفهمیم. اینجور به ما وانمود نکنن که اگر نشستیم پشت میز مذاکره با اون دولت فلان مشکل یا فلان مشکل حل میشه. نه نخیر.
Like, do not let them convince us that if we go and sit down with this government in the United States, that problem or this problem will be fixed. Like, no, that's not true. Carlo, thank you for the super chat. Carlo is saying all this hardliner business has my head spinning. Okay, well, I hope, guys, am I doing a good job explaining it? Because I'm trying to make this. Carlo, I don't know if my explanations are understandable. Please let me know if my explanations are making sense, because I want to make sure that you guys are understanding this. Because, guys, if you are watching this, your understanding of this whole politics in the Middle East is going to be at a completely different level compared to other people. So let me know if my explanations are clear. And also, guys, I will read the super chats. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yeah, like negotiations with the United States will solve no problems. And so he says the reason our experience. He says, what's the reason? Experience. And this part of his phrase was the headline title for many of the newspapers in Iran the day after, when he says reason ? Experience. So the very day after, many newspapers in Iran, and one of them had this bold, like that was the bold, like the title of the first page was reason, experience. So he's saying we have had experiences with the United States, and we know that negotiating with these people get us nothing. Oh, thank you, guys.
از با مذاکره با آمریکا هیچ مشکلی حل نمیشه. دلیل تجربه.
The reason, experience.
دهه 90 نشستیم با آمریکا مذاکره کردیم حدود 2 سال.
He's saying we in the 90s, well, not the Dahe 90s. What year would that be in the Gregorian calendar? So basically, like 10. This is not like like 10 years ago, right? During Obama times, right? So remember, Iran has a different calendar. So he's saying that during the Obama's presidency, we sat down and we negotiated with them.
یک معاهده‌ای هم تشکیل شد.
I mean, 15 years ago.
آمریکا تنها نبود، چند کشور تشکیل شد. آمریکا تنها نبود، چند کشور دیگه هم بودن. لکن محور آمریکا بود، عمدتاً آمریکا بود.
Yeah, we sat down and negotiated with many countries regarding the nuclear deal with the United States at the head of the negotiations.
دولت ما نشست مذاکره کرد.
Like our government sat down with them and we negotiated. So he's basically is talking about the first nuclear deal negotiated and under Obama's presidency.
اون روز رفتن آمدن نشستن برخواستن مذاکره.
Oh, so Susanna, like, she was referring to this. I'm going to bring this up right now, right? So it's very interesting. But he doesn't mention names, right? He doesn't mention Trump's name. He doesn't mention Obama's name. He doesn't mention Rohani's name. He doesn't mention Zarif's name. So when it comes to Trump, he says negotiating with this government, this current government of the United States. He thinks it's too much honor. Like he doesn't want to give Trump the honor of mentioning his name. And when it comes to Obama, he's talking about the government at that time. So he doesn't mention Obama's presidency. And also when it comes to his own presidents, the ones that he doesn't like Rouhani, he doesn't mention his name as well, right? So you'll see. So he's saying we sat down and we negotiated with that government of the time. So he's saying our government and their government, they sat down and they talked. They negotiated, they talked. They laughed. Okay, so it's very well known that Zarif, do you guys know who Zarif is? It's the foreign minister at that time, at Rouhani's time, when Zarif and John Kerry, when they were doing the first nuclear deals during Obama's presidency, the pictures that came out of Zarif and John Kerry laughing with each other and shaking each other's hands got on the nerves of Khamenei. And he hated it. He hated that one of his politicians were being so sweet to an American politician like that. And that has, even though Zarif is his man, that is something that he has never gotten over. And it's so funny that even to this day, he brings it up. The laughter and the handshaking, he mentions it every time because apparently he's still, to this very day, years after, more than a decade after, he's still pissed off. Look at this. They laughed. They shook hands. This is the famous picture of that everybody knows that pissed off Khamenei, the picture of the shaking of hands, okay? Because he keeps going back to it many times. Like they did everything together. Like there was an agreement. Like in this agreement, the Iranian side had given so many. It was very generous. Basically, the Iranian side was very generous with the things that they agreed to. Like they gave them so much. They gave them so many things. But he's saying even that deal, like in that deal that the Iranian side had agreed to so much and gave so much, the Americans eventually didn't agree to it and threw it away. So he's basically thinking about Trump throwing that deal that Obama agreed to away. Like this very person that is now in power, see how he doesn't mention his name? He's saying the very person that is right now in power, he's talking about Trump. He's the one who threw that deal away. He basically tore it apart. He said I would tore it apart, and he did it. And he's saying even though, Yamaz, like they did, but what they didn't do is that. So here's the part that he's not saying. So some people are like, oh, well, that's fair, Armin. He's right. The Iranian side, the Iranian regime agreed to so much, and Obama got a good deal. and then Trump came and threw it away. But what we know right now is that they were secretly not abiding by the deal. There's three things that you have to remember with the Obama deal. One is that the Iranian regime was secretly trying to make nuclear weapons even after they signed the deal. We have evidence for that. One. Two, Obama's expectation was that with this deal, the Iranian regime will start behaving. But right after that deal, the money made from the removal of sanctions was immediately redirected to supporting more terrorism, supporting Hamas, Hezbollah, Kataib, Fatimiyun, Hashd Shabi, all these, the Houthis, all these terrorists in the region. They were actually increased their sponsorship of terrorism. And thirdly, is that the Obama deal had an expiry date, meaning that by just agreeing for the regime, agreeing to abide by deal for those years, by the end of it, the sanctions had been removed. The regime had access to a lot more resources. And after the end of that deal, the regime was under international law legally allowed to now start building nuclear weapons. So those are the three problems with the deal that people don't mention to you, right? So let's continue. Let me see if anybody sent me that thing. So let me see. Sarah, did you get a chance to? Oh yeah, Sarah did find something. Oh no, that's in the Kuche channel. Yeah, I saw that in the Kuche channel. But did you find, Sarah, the video of it separately somewhere? Maybe the best we could do is maybe just show it on the Kuche video. Maybe that's the best thing we could do. But yeah, maybe I should just download the video right now, just in case we cannot find it anywhere else. But thank you, Sarah. Thank you for going and looking. So let's continue with the translation.
عمل نکرد. قبل از این که او بیاد هم همونهایی که این معاهده با اونها انجام گرفته بود به معاهده عمل نکرد.
Like even before him, the people who even before Trump, the people who signed the agreement, the people who have agreed to that, meaning Obama, who he does not mention his name again, like even they did not abide by the agreement. He's saying even Obama did not abide by their side of the agreement.
معاهده برای این بود که تحریم‌های آمریکا برداشته بشه.
The agreement was so that the American sanctions were supposed to be removed.
برداشته نشد.
But they were not removed. So he is half right. First of all, one reason why a lot of American companies did not, the sanctions were technically removed, but first of all, he himself put back the sanctions back on by announcing that he doesn't want Iranian companies to work with American companies, even after this deal was announced. So he's responsible for a part of it. He doesn't tell you that, but he's responsible for part of it. Another thing is that a lot of companies around the world would still not deal with the Iranian companies because of the risk associated with dealing with a terrorist regime, with a state sponsor of terror, right? So a lot of companies, because they were expecting everybody to come and now do all sorts of business deals with them. And a lot of global giant companies were kind of like, we'll just have to wait and see first. You guys are not as stable. So they were upset about that, and they interpreted that as the sanctions still being there. But that's not sanctions. That's just your nature of being such a rogue regime, of just hard to, like, you're unpredictable. And companies the main thing that they want to see is predictability. But yeah, and stability. Like he's saying the American sanctions were not removed.
در مورد سازمان ملل هم یک استخوانی لای زخم گذاشتن.
Like even with the nuclear deal that Obama signed, the United Nations, they put like a bone within our wound. Like they put something, a leverage within the deal. So a bone within our wound basically is an Iranian way of saying that they had a pressure. They put something in the deal that they had leverage over us. So I think what he's trying to refer to is mechanisme marché, which is mechanisme marché. How do you say mechanisme marché in English? Mechanisme marché. A trigger mechanism. I think it has another term for it within the deal, the nuclear deal that they signed. It has a specific English name that doesn't translate well into English. So there is a thing within the deal that if that they could bring sanctions back if they see the Iranian regime not abiding by their agreement. There was a way for them to trigger back snapbacks. It's called snapbacks. Oh yes, fantastic. Yes, I do. Yes, thank you, Behnam. It's called Behnam. You oh sorry. Yeah, snapback. There's a snapback clause within the agreement that Obama signed that makes it easy for United States and other countries to just bring on all the sanctions before the Obama deal, all of them back right to the regime, right? So I think here Khamenei is referring to specifically that, and he's pissed off about that clause being within the Obama agreement. Like that snapback clause within the agreement was like a threat. It was like a stick right over our head anytime that they wanted to basically hit us with it.
این معاهده محصول مذاکره 2 سال به نظرم بیشتره.
And like this snapback and all of these limitations and all of this is what we got after 2 years of talking to them. Like basically saying like even back then, which we had a better deal, we got that after 2 years of talking to them and they gave us such a bad deal and they threw the deal away themselves.
این مذاکره طول کشید. خب این تجربه است دیگه. از این تجربه استفاده.
So we have this experience. This is the experience that we have with the Americans. We have to use this experience.
امتیاز دادیم مذاکره.
امتیاز, how do you say امتیاز? امتیاز دادیم. So we gave them all the points. We gave them all the things.
امتیاز دادیم کوتاه آمدیم.
We agreed to their terms. We gave them so many things, and we were very generous basically in that deal.
اما نتیجه
Mazak is saying, I guess he is saying USA should come back to the previous deal. Oh my God, they would love that. That deal is like unquestionable. Like that deal is something that's like in La La Land. Like we're not even gonna get close to something like that.
مقصودمون بود به دست نیاوردیم امتیاز دادیم کوتاه آمدیم اما نتیجه‌ای که مقصودمون بود به دست نیاوردیم.
Yeah, so after everything we gave them, everything we agreed, the thing that we wanted, we didn't get.
همین معاهده را هم با همه این نقص‌هایی که داشت طرف مقابل باز خراب کرد.
So he's basically saying, think about it. Even though we had an agreement that was so bad for us and basically good for them with all the flaws that it had, even they threw that away.
نقض کرد، پاره کرد. با یه چنین دولتی مذاکره نباید کرد.
So we should not be negotiating with such a government.
مذاکره کردن عاقلانه نیست.
So it's not wise. It's not wise to negotiate with such a government.
هوشمندانه نیست.
It's logical.
شرافتمندانه نیست.
It's not honorable. So he's saying it's not honorable. It's not. So he's basically calling anybody who wants to negotiate with the United States within Iran bisharaf, meaning without honor. So this is a huge position. Like that's a big insult to anybody who wants to deal with the United States. So he has basically said three things, right? It is not wise, it is not logical, and it's not honorable. So that is a huge no to any form of negotiation. Let me see. Oh, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. You found it. You found it. You're amazing, Sarah. It has an ad on it. Let me just download the video. Thank you, Sarah. You're amazing. Okay, so I'm going to let this download while I go to Pezeshkian. Oh, doesn't let me download it. Mother. It's okay. I'll just show it on the screen when it's time. Let me just read this thing so I can get the ad playing so we don't have to deal with the ad. Okay. Okay, so yeah, guys, I found that video to show you guys. Thank you, Sarah. You're amazing. You're amazing. Let's go to okay, so I told you about Zarif, right? Let me actually show you the picture of Zarif, Javad Zarif, the chief negotiator of Iranian politics with foreigners, right? Because this guy, he's considered a reformer. That's why a lot of hardliners hate, absolutely. I think he's now the most hated man in Iran, right? Even more than, sometimes even more than Khamenei, to be honest, right? Let me show you. Okay, so this is Javad Zarif. You should know this man, right? He's the guy that you would be dealing with if you're trying to negotiate, if you're basically European or American or Canadian and you're trying to deal with the Islamic Republic. This is your guy. This is the guy you talk to, and he speaks very, very good English, and he's very good at politics. However, he's also the most hated man in Iran because everybody now hates him, both hardliners and anti-regime people, right? So, and the fact that he is the most hated man in Iran is also the reason why Khamenei needs him so much, because he's the one who's basically is going to take all the bullets for Khamenei. He's the human shield of Khamenei, right? So hardliners hate this man because he's the man who wants to go and negotiate with the United States, with the murderer of Qasem Soleimani, basically trying to remove all the sanctions and everything like that. So the hardliners consider him to be, and I kid you not, a Zionist spy. So a lot of hardliners are absolutely convinced that this man is basically an agent of Israel. And the reformers in general are agents of Israel, and they have been planted within the regime to basically make the regime submit, because the Jews and the imperialists meaning Americans, have tried everything to remove the government of the Mahdi. And they have failed. The Iranian regime is way too strong to be taken down with military might, right? And basically, when Jews fail, according to these guys, because Jews are weak, again, according to these guys, they have to scheme, because they're pathetically weak themselves. Again, not my words. These people, they cannot defeat you in fair ways. What they have to do is they just use deceit and spies and cunning, like they do. These are the tactics of the Jews, basically, in their mind, to come and destroy you from the within. So they consider Javad Zarif to be Israel's guy, and they are basically, there's so many Israeli agents within the regime of within the Iranian regime, trying to topple the regime. So that's why the hardliners are hating him. But the reason why the anti-regime Iranians hate him, Susanna saying they have the Jewish magic advanced jinn technology. Yes, they also have that. Yes. But this is the non-magical part, right? This is the political part. But they also have that. Yes, Susanna. So the reason why the anti-regime Iranians hate Zarif, which is actually a more rational reason, is because they have correctly identified Zarif and the reformers like him to be the defenders of the regime much more effectively than hardliners are. So if it wasn't for the reformists, the Islamic Republic would have fallen by now. They see how people like Zarif, how useful they are to Khamenei, how whenever Khamenei is weak, however, whenever the hardliner Khamenei's regime is feeling vulnerable, either internally or externally, they send people like Zarif into the front, right? So whenever they feel like they have the upper hand, they push the reformers aside and they act tough against their own people, and they act tough within the region, supporting terrorism, and basically using force and violence, right? But now that they're feeling, whenever they feel threatened by their own people from within or from external pressure, then they switch masks and they put reformers like Zarif in front of the world, in front of Obama, in front of John Kerry, with all their lobby groups within the European governments and American governments, and they are so good at that. Even though it's illegal for them to have lobbies, they come up with very clever schemes to get around it and influence American politics. So, for example, we have, as you know, Susanna has done a couple of streams showing you how the Iranian regime has influence in American politics, especially over Democrats. And for example, I have introduced you to an organization called NIAC, which is active in United States, influencing American politics. And a lot of lefty podcasts and lefty YouTubers, when they want to talk Iranian politics, they bring people from NIAC onto their show. That's these Zarif's people. That NIAC is Zarif's people everywhere, influencing the minds of Americans, trying to show that the United States has been unfair to the Islamic Republic, that the Islamic Republic is maybe they're a bit religious, but they have some points. The America is the bully, the Iranian regime is the victim, and they're Zarif has been very effective at doing that, right? But the problem is that as good as he is, Khamenei can't use him to his full potential because hardliners would get upset. You see how problematic this is? Like, Khamenei would love to use people like Zarif to their full potential. But because the main support Khamenei has, the main remaining support he has, are the hardliners, and the hardliners hate people like Zarif, because they're they're so-called reformers. The hardliners hate the reformers because the reformers want to ease up on the hijab laws, and the hardliners don't want the reformers to go talk to the enemies of Islam, like United States. So Khamenei cannot show so publicly that he is in favor of the reformers like Zarif. So, for example, one way for Khamenei recently trying to secretly, so it's easier for Khamenei to speak good of Pezeshkian sometimes so that the hardliners attack him a little bit less, right? But he cannot ever come out and praise Zarif. I mean, he did it once before, but not recently. He cannot do that because how hated Zarif is. So you can see the limitations of Khamenei. But Khamenei tried to. Let me show you. Let me tell you how nuanced all of this is, right? Within the pictures, so Khamenei has this place called the Beit Rahbari, which is his house and his office. It's kind of like the White House version of Iran, right? It's called Beit Rahbari, which means the house of the supreme leadership, right? Or the office of the supreme leadership. And he doesn't leave there. He's like, so when, for example, whenever there needs to be a presentation or a show or an exhibition, instead of Khamenei visiting an exhibition, they would do the exhibition in the Beit Rahbari, so only for him, so that he doesn't have to leave his security and everything, right? And he has his own media there, he has his own office there, he has his own everything there, he has his own website and everything, right? And the official media of the Beit Rahbari, which is like the Iranian version of the White House, recently published some pictures of the people who were there for an exhibition there, and they had Zarif's picture front and center as one of the main pictures released from Khamenei's own website. And a lot of hardliners were like, what the fuck? Who is working at the Khamenei's office? Have they noticed this error? Why are they posting Zarif's picture as if they're celebrating him? So a lot of people suggested that this is Khamenei's kind of signal to some hardliners that this is my guy, please stop attacking him. But that is not how it was perceived by hardliners. The hardliners were attributed this to a mistake by whoever is in charge of the website. Okay, so this is the infighting that is going on there. And let me actually give you a little bit more detail here, right? So remember I showed you the first two videos. The second video showed that Khamenei was signaling a green light for the reformers to talk to Trump. So this is how hardliners, who are not part of the regime but part of the, they have their own YouTube channels, they have their own Telegram accounts, Instagram accounts, Twitter accounts, which I follow. They were trying to make excuses for the supreme leader giving a green light by saying this. This is the excuse. They were saying, look, Khamenei has said we will never negotiate with the United States. But Khamenei is such a people's man that even when the Iranian people have made the mistake of electing in a reformist government, because Khamenei has warned you, do not talk to these people. Do not talk to these people. These people are not worth negotiating with. But given that this Zionist government that are foolish people have voted in are insisting on negotiating with the United States, and because Khamenei is such a humble person that even though he's connected to the Mehdi, and given that he's connected to the Mehdi, he knows what the Iranian people need. But if the Iranian people say, like, no, we're not going to listen to the representative of the Mehdi on earth, and we're going to listen to this Zionist puppets instead, we're going to elect a Zionist puppet instead, Khamenei was like, I'm a people's man. I will accept the will of the people, even though I told them not to do this. And instead of stopping them, I will just give them a warning of caution that if you're going to go talk to Americans, please be careful and understand their nature. So see the difference of interpretations. The reformers were saying, look, Khamenei is telling us that we're allowed to go talk to Americans, and the hardliners were saying, no, you fools, he was telling you not to. But given that you are going to anyways, he's telling you to just be cautious who you're talking to, right? And then the third time he goes and comes and says, like, we're not going to talk to Americans, and everybody bends the knee, and like, look, Khamenei tells you to not talk, and this, we were always telling you that Khamenei was not going to allow this shit. And like, well, which is it then? Because the hardliners sometimes try to pretend like Khamenei was not in full control, but Khamenei is in complete full control. Like, if the reformers do anything, is with the permission of Khamenei. And if the reformers do something that the hardliners don't want, some hardliners try to defend their supreme leader by saying they forced his hand. But nobody can force his hand. The supreme leader cannot be forced by the reformers. If the supreme leader is ever forced, it could only be forced maybe by IRGC. It could never be forced by the president to do anything. But that's the purpose of having the reformers there, so that some hardliners are convinced that this was the Zionist infiltrating, that have made the supreme leader forced to do something that he did not recommend. They bring religious symbolism into this. They think, like, remember Ali, the first Imam of Shias, he was supposed to be the leader of the Ummah, the Islamic community, right after Muhammad's death. But they made Abu Bakr the first Khalifa, and Omar the second, and Osman the third, and Ali became the fourth Khalifa instead of being the first Imam. And Ali never came out and demanded that he becomes the supreme leader, like becomes the first Khalifa. Because Ali was, the Shias would say, Ali was left alone. He was abandoned by the Islamic community, and Ali was not going to start an Islamic government unless he has the support of the people. But he was abandoned and alone. So they're saying, like, look, Ali Khamenei, just like Imam Ali, he's alone. Like, this is why we hardliners, and they cry when they say this, everybody has abandoned our supreme leader, our Lord, including the rest of the government. So this is the interesting thing. Okay, nobody supports the Iranian government, the whole government, not just the executive branch. Even the hardliners are against the government. The only difference is that some of them love the supreme leader, and some of them are slowly realizing that this is all by design, and they're turning on the supreme leader as well. But the part of the hardliners that support anything within the regime, the part that they support is mostly Khamenei. So when Khamenei dies, that's a lot of that support will fall as well. And I don't know how this regime is going to survive after that, right? Do you understand what's happening? They're saying that the reason, they're trying to convince hardliners that the reason the things that they want is not happening, and they are mainly three things: the enforcement of hijab laws, taking stronger actions against Israel, and now not negotiating with Americans. These are the three things that the hardliners care about. And if the reasons why sometimes they don't happen is not because Khamenei is not making them happen, is because the entirety of the regime and has abandoned Ali Khamenei, and Ali is alone. And they use the word Ali is alone because this Ali Khamenei, they're trying to show a similarity between Ali Khamenei being alone and Imam Ali, the first Imam of Shias, being alone. So these are saying this is similar. This is happening again. And the people who abandoned Ali were the people of Kufa, which are the same people who abandoned Imam Hussein, who died with only 72 people in Karbala. So when Hussein was going into war with Yazid, all the people around him, they wanted to abandon him. So Hussein, they were in the middle of the night, they had the fire there, and Hussein said, I know a lot of you want to abandon this, and I know you're ashamed, so I'm going to put down the fire, so when it's pitch dark and nobody can see, anybody who doesn't want to fight with Yazid, because we're going to die, they could leave. And after he put on the fire, and people left, and then when they put it back up, when they put the fire back on, there was only 72 people left. And a lot of people, when they do Sina Zani and they cry for Hussein and his death in Karbala, they curse upon the people of Kufa and other people who abandoned Hussein. He was only left with 72 people when fighting against Yazid. So now the Arzashis, the hardliners who defend Khamenei, they ask the other hardliners that, look, they abandoned Ali, they abandoned Hussein, and we keep saying every Ashura that we curse them, and we wish that we were back then there to see if we would abandon Ali or Hussein. They're like, well, we don't have to be back there. We could see right now, are you one of those people who is going to abandon Ali Khamenei, our supreme leader? Because God has given you another chance to demonstrate whether you are going to be one of the people of Kufa who abandoned Ali, who abandoned Hussein. This is your moment to show, because everybody, this is a very clever mechanism to try to defend Khamenei, even though the regime is doing things that the hardliners don't want. So even though Khamenei has almost all the control in his hand, when the government in Iran is doing things that the hardliners don't want, they blame it on Zionist agents, reformists, and everybody else within the regime, and even some hardliners like Ghalibaf, who are not following the commands of Khamenei, and Khamenei has just been left alone. But this is how they save Khamenei from all the blame, to try to maintain, because if Khamenei loses the hardliners, it's game over. It's game over. Okay, so with that all in mind, let me show you, with that context, you will be able to understand this video next with this context, right? So that the pictures that I showed you earlier was of Zarif, right? Let me show you this. So this is a Friday prayer in Iran. I forgot the name of this. This is it's a very hated figure who is the imam of this Friday prayer, right? It was a man who stole a lot of land. This guy here who speaks, I don't know. By the way, I know it's low quality, but it's everywhere that I looked for it is this quality. But this man who's speaking, he stole so much fucking land. Like, this man is super rich, right? Let me see. If I say, I could find this name by just saying Imam Jom Ez Amin Khar. And if I just search for that, I think his name should be Siddiqui. So, you know what I searched for to find this person's name? I searched for Friday prayer imam, land stealer. Okay. So if I search on Google for Friday imam, land stealer, his name will show up at the first thing on Google. Siddiqui. So that's his name. So let's listen to this Friday prayer. Hold on. So this is first the chants in this Friday prayer. So remember this imam, this leader of Friday prayer, the imam guy in the front. He's one of the hardliners, right? He's like one of the main powerful, very rich hardliners close to the regime, and the people, right? So he represents the regime. This represents the base, the people who show up in the Friday prayers. These are the hardliners that are the base support of the government. Okay, so look at that. Listen to what they're chanting. So first, it's a normal chant, like "Death to America," "Death to the infidels," blah blah blah, "Death to the hypocrites," and all that. So. Okay, so now the chants we're seeing some chants that are not part of their usual chants. Okay, so they're saying "Muzakere ba Amrika mahale." So the chants among the people is negotiations with the United States is impossible. That's the chant, and this chant, this man has no problem with. Okay, so Inshallah, so he's saying "Muzakere ba Amrika mahale." Negotiations with the United States is impossible. So he responds. He says, "Inshallah. You're God willing, you're correct. You're correct." So but remember, this is the Friday prayer after Khamenei made the announcement that we had the experience with the United States and we will never negotiate with the United States. So this Friday imam, this Siddiqui guy, he's saying that you're completely right. God willing, negotiations with the United States we experienced that already. So he's basically he's confirming what Khamenei said. So he's agreeing with that. Oh, he's saying the people who suggested negotiating with the United States have been humiliated. So he's talking about the reformers. He's saying the reformers, like people like Zarif. He's saying these people have been humiliated. Like, so I don't know after the experience that we have with the United States, why these people are still insisting that we need to negotiate with the United States. Like, why are they so inconsiderate? Okay, so now it takes a turn. Now the chants take a turn. The chants turn, they say, Zarif gureto gomkon. So the chants are saying, gureto gomkon. Zarif, get the hell out, or get lost, or die, or how do you translate gureto gomkon? In an insulting way of saying, get the fuck out, Zarif. So the chants are now anti-Zarif, this guy, right? The chants are now against this man, right? This is a level of direct attack on an individual that even this hardliner guy, he cannot go away. Yeah, Mazak is saying means go away, but it's guru to gomkon is like a lot more insulting than just go away, right?
تحقیر شدن پیشنهادگان و وضع بدتر شد بعد از مذاکره.
So somebody's saying, wait, what did Zarif say? I am late. Well, Zarif is a person who is the main negotiator, the main front guy for negotiating with the Westerners, right? And these are people who are hardliners, or they're oh, Sarah, thank you so much. Sarah actually gave me the full name of the guy, Kazim Siddiqui. Sorry, I saw that late, Sarah. So yeah, that Kazim Siddiqui is the guy that we're looking at right now on the screen, right? So yeah, that these people are anti-reformers. They consider them nufuzi. Nufuzi means the people who have infiltrated, basically accusing them of being the Zionist agents or Americans agents.
حالا دیگه بعد از تجربه اصلا نمیدونم چرا اینقدر اینها بی ملاحظن، چرا اینقدر بی هوا دارن حرف میزنن. من هم
Zarif, guru to gomkon. Zarif, and basically saying, Zarif, get the fuck out, or Zarif, get lost.
من در برابر این روحیه الهی عرشی عزتمندانه آحاد مردممون احساس تواضع میکنم.
So he's now in response to that. So remember, when they were saying no to negotiations, negotiations with the United States is impossible, he said, you are correct, you're God willing. He directly addressed exactly what they were saying, and he confirmed it, and he acknowledged it, and he agreed with it. But now when the people are basically swearing at Zarif, at Javad Zarif, instead of saying, yes, I agree with you, fuck Javad Zarif, that motherfucker or whatever. Oh yeah, get the fuck out. Yeah, Zarif, get the fuck out. Zarif, get the fuck out. He's saying, I am inspired by your passion and I bend the knee towards your enthusiasm. Okay. So you see the difference? When they were saying like fuck dealing with United States, he was basically saying, yes, we shouldn't deal with United States, inshallah. He agreed directly with what the people were saying, right? But when they started swearing at Zarif, instead of acknowledging what they're saying and saying, I agree with you, Zarif, blah blah blah, he just said, oh, you have such great passion and enthusiasm. I bow down to your passion. So, you see, I wanted to show you this video so you guys understand the difference between the hardliners in the government and the hardliners outside of the government. The intensity, like they're both hardliner radicals, right? But the intensity of the hardliners that are not in the government has passed the government itself. Okay, and this is a big issue for the government. So let me see how. Let me actually translate it verbatim. Yeah, so Dark is saying, I mean, it's a smart way to deal with the situation. Yeah, I mean, he tried to dodging a bullet right here. Yeah.
من در برابر این روحیه
I say in front of such passion.
الهی عرشی
Oh, in front of such godly passion.
عزتمندانه آحاد مردممون احساس تواضع میکنم.
Like in front of such passion and enthusiasm, I feel small in front of it. I bend the knee to
زانو
it.
میزنم.
Yeah, I bend the knee towards it. Yeah, so that was that, right? Okay. It's getting long. I need to make sure. I want to do 2 Pezeshkian videos. Yes, so you need to listen. I need to make sure this stream is complete so you guys have the full understanding of everything. So I have these videos and also the video that Sarah found me. Thank you so much, Sarah. Live on air, which you went and found. Okay, yeah. Let me actually maybe do this video first, if it's possible. If it's possible. Yes. Let me know if you have this. I haven't seen this video. Yes. I don't know if this is the right video. Guys, do you have audio of this video? Okay, so let me quickly give you the context. So Rohani was the last reformist president, one of the reformist presidents, famously. Oh, by the way, last time I said Zarif under Rohani, I meant under Khatami. So actually, so we have reformist presidents, we have Khatami, we have Rohani after that, and we have Pezeshkian, who's the president right now. These are the reformist presidents, right? So under these, under Rohani's presidents, and under Zarif and Rohani, they wanted to. We had major, pushing forward for negotiating with the United States. Under Khatami, we had the discussion of getting Gofteguya Tamadunha, which means like the talking between civilizations. So you can see the reformers constantly have always pushed for more talk with Western countries, right? And again, this is not because they're good people. This is because the regime is desperate, because they need the money. They need to be able to sell their oil, right? So Rohani, which is the previous, right now the president that is the reformist, is Pezeshkian. The previous president who was reformist was Rohani, and he was recently seen, as I'm going to show you in this video, in Marasem 22 Bahman. 22 Bahman is the annual event which celebrates the Islamic Revolution of 1979 and the coming into power of the Islamic Republic, right? So the victory of the Islamic Republic over the Pahlavi dynasty and them coming into power happened in the 22nd of the month of Bahman in Iran. So every year, the 22nd of the month of Bahman is the celebration festival for that event, right? Which is interesting because this year, the numbers were astronomically lower, actually like significantly lower. People coming into the streets celebrating, like every year it's getting lower and lower and lower. I mean, we have video footage, which I'm not going to show you, bore you guys. I showed it in the Persian channel of how very little I posted it on our Telegram account, on our Persian Telegram account, how very little people showed up into the demonstrations this year, right? But a lot of government officials will show up into the streets to show their solidarity with the Iranian regime. And this year, Rohani was seen, and Rohani was attacked. This is the former president of Iran, and all the people who show up in these festivals, they're the hardliners, right? The hardliner base, the supporters of the regime. And when Rohani showed up to show his solidarity with the regime, this is the previous president, he was attacked by the people. So let's watch this. So you see, that's him. You see, because he's not a Sayyid, that's why his turban is white. If your turban is black, that means you're a Sayyid. You can tell Rohani by his white turban. And the speaker, I will tell you what the speaker is saying behind the microphone. So
مردم قبول میکنند. این تیم موافقین نه تنها آقای روحانی، افراد دیگر بشنوند مسئولین روزی بره.
So people, okay, what are people chanting? This is very
قبول میکنند. این تیم موافقین نه تنها آقای روحانی، افراد دیگر بشنوند مسئولین.
So they're chanting deaf to Nufuzi, deaf to Monafiq. Sarah, is that what you're hearing as well? So Nufuzi means the people who have infiltrated, right? The infiltrators. And Monafiq is a Quranic term for people who are hypocrite, who are pretenders, who are fake Muslims, right? So when Rohani is passing, Rohani with his turban, the previous president of the Islamic Republic, the people who are attacking him and chanting against him are calling him an infiltrator. Basically, apparently Rohani is a Zionist as well. And also these are fake Muslims. They're not even real Muslim. Hey, Roy is here. Hi, Roy. But I'm going to make sure. But what's interesting is what the person behind the speaker for the loudspeaker is saying, right? He says, listen to the chants of the people against you, Rohani. So he's directing this at Rohani. And other officials in the government, listen to these chants so that you hear what the people want. Let me actually go, I'm going to translate what he's saying verbatim. He's like, look at this, like, look how a president, like, this is the situation of a president among people, right? So he's saying, like, what kind of president were you where you cannot walk among your own people? By the way, these are a minority of hardliner people. Anybody who shows up in this ceremony, in the 22nd of Bahman ceremonies, all of these people are pro-regime hardliners, and they're attacking Rohani. So the guy behind the speaker is like, look, Rohani, this is the president that cannot walk among his own people, and all other officials listen to the chant so that you get the idea of what the people want. By the way, when hardliners, when they say the people, what they mean is the hardliners, right? Because they don't consider other people to be people. Like, listen, the people who are responsible within the government, listen. Wow. He's saying, listen, officials of the government, listen to the people, Rohani. Hope for the day that you could walk among your people without guards. Like, the fact that you need guards around you to walk among your own people shows that your people don't want you. That's what he's saying, the person. This is in Iran, the loudspeaker attacking the former president. Oh, they're calling Rohani Bisharaf. Rohani, they're calling him Bisharaf. Let me actually show you. I don't know if you guys know who Rohani is. Hassan Rohani. Hold on. Maybe because so you guys, we're talking about this guy, okay? Hassan Rohani, right? So this is the former president. Let's go back. So the reason why people are calling him Bisharaf, these are the hardliners calling Rohani Bisharaf, means without honor. It's a very big insult in Iranian language, right? Without honor, person without honor. And the reason why they're calling him Bisharaf is because he's a person that wants to talk to America, wants to negotiate with America, stuff like that. Yeah. So you can see that's him over there. So he's saying Durugu, liar. So he's basically, that's him right there. So he's basically, they're getting him out of there. He basically came to show his respect for the Islamic Republic, show his solidarity with the Islamic Republic, and he was being attacked so much that his guards basically took him out. It took him out, as in, like, brought him out of that area. Oh, see, that's him. That's Rohani right there. See, he got into his car. The situation was getting so dire that he had to leave. Okay, so now with all that in mind, let's go to the current president, Rohani, which is basically Khamenei's puppet. By the way, guys, honestly, the things I'm showing you, where else would you see this? Like, do you know? Make sure you like this stream. This is some very unique and it's stuff that you're not seeing anywhere else. Like this level of information. Like what English stream is going to show you that Rohani, the former president of Iran, is being booed out of the annual celebration event of the victory of the Islamic Republic from hardliners, and the current environment within Iran being so anti-reformers and considering them to be allies of the enemies of Islam. Okay, like this is some stuff that you're not going to see anywhere else. So please make sure you like the stream so that this is some value. Because I'm getting so nerdy and too detailed, it's very niche, and a lot of people might not be very interested in it. So it's not good for the channel for me to be this niche and this nerdy, because we're not going to be able to get a big audience. You know, it's easier to get an audience by showing you like, oh, Islam, the ridiculous shit in Islam, the evil stuff in the Quran. You know, that's a good way to get audience because that's easy to understand. You know, just like showing some ridiculous, showing you some violent attacks, that stuff, that some crazy shit that they do, that stuff is good for getting an audience because a lot of people, it's easy to consume, it's easy to see why it's wrong, it's funny, it's interesting, or it makes you either angry or it makes you laugh, or you don't have to do a lot of you don't have to burn a lot of neurons, as we say, to to understand that, right? So that has a mass appeal. So I need to be rewarded, given that this channel will not grow as much if I focus on this type of content. I need to be rewarded with likes so that at least we get the type of people, because this type of content might not have a mass appeal, but the type of people that would be interested in it are a more sophisticated type of audience. So we're going for quality rather than quantity. But the problem is that for us to financially survive, we need quantity. So even though we're going for quality, quantity is what pays. So your likes will help us find more sophisticated type of audience for this channel to grow. So make sure that you like the stream, right? Anyways, let's look at the Pezeshkian, which is the current president, and how his narratives completely changed after Khamenei came out and said no, a complete no to a deal. By the way, if Khamenei, so we don't know if there's going to be a deal or not between Trump and the Iranian regime. But if there is no deal, that would be very devastating for the current regime, because the maximum pressure and maybe even military intervention is going to come. If there is no deal between the Iranian regime and Trump, we are potentially going to see economic pressures and sanctions, maximum pressure on the Iranian regime in a way that we haven't ever seen before. And even maybe potentially green lighting Israel attacking the Islamic Republic with United States supporting Israel. Okay, so if we have no deal, but if we have a deal, after Khamenei so clearly came out and closed all pathways to a deal, if he eventually sees that there's no way that they have to do a deal, and he does a 180, that would also be devastating for Khamenei, because he basically has burned all the potential bridges. Like when he came out and said we won't do a deal with the United States, he said it so clearly and without any hesitation and without leaving any other options open, that if the Iranian regime does do a deal with with United States, the only way hardliners could defend Khamenei doing a 180 is to suggest that Pezeshkian and other reformers have completely forced them. But the thing is that that's a very hard thing to believe, even by some hardliners, because we have Khamenei on record himself saying that within Iran, foreign policy decisions are not made at the level of the presidency and ministry, and that there are other people above them, meaning his own institutions, right? So he has many different institutions directly under his commands that they make the decisions, right? And he has said that. So if he gets forced to do a deal and does a 180, given that so many of these hardliners remember him saying that, is going to turn more hardliners walk away from Khamenei if he does a 180. And also, guys, this is such a huge vindication of everything I've been telling you. Because remember, I told you there are three fears. I told you there are three threats to the Islamic Republic. And I told you that the third one is the biggest one and the one that most people don't talk about. The first threat against the Islamic Republic is the foreign threat of United States and Israel's either economic pressure or military pressure, or maybe even an attack, or maybe invasion, or whatever it is. That's the threat. The second threat against the Islamic Republic, which is a bigger threat, is the liberal-minded, secular liberal-minded Iranian people, the national revolution against the Islamic takeover of their country. That is the second threat, which is even a bigger threat, right? But I told you the third threat is the biggest threat of all. And Khamenei's decision confirms that my analysis, I mean, many things have confirmed that my analysis on this has been correct, but now we have another confirmation that my analysis has been correct. The third threat has been the hardliners turning against the regime. And even though the hardliners are a minority, the reason why that is a bigger threat to the regime is because that is the only remaining support the regime has, and even dictators need some level of base support. And if they lose even half of that, that's the end of the regime. And remember, the anti-regime revolutionary national revolution of secular liberal-minded Iranians, those are Iranians that the regime will never win back ever again. So they're not even trying. But the hardliners turning on the regime, they are trying to win back those people because they cannot afford to lose that. And this is the reason why, because a lot of people think that Khamenei is being an idiot. Why is Khamenei saying no deal with the United States under the current situation? The government is going bankrupt. And if you don't do a deal with the United States and Trump does the maximum pressure on you, you will be able to sell 0 barrels of oil to China, just like the previous sanctions. You are not going to be able to afford that. Like, it's impossible for you to be able to afford that. Like, that is, even without military intervention, if Trump does that, that is absolutely devastating for the Islamic Republic. So a lot of people are saying, why is Khamenei being an idiot? They have no choice but to negotiate with Trump. They have to negotiate with Trump because Khamenei knows what, he's not an idiot. He knows what I have been telling you. Yes, that is devastating. It is devastating for Trump to turn on the Iranian regime with maximum pressure. But it is more devastating for the hardliners to turn on Khamenei. So Khamenei had to choose between the anger of Trump and the anger of his base support. And he chose the anger of Trump, because that is a lesser of the two threats. Does that not confirm what I have been telling you? That the Khamenei recognizes that this is tough, but I might be able to survive this. If maximum pressure by Trump on the Iranian regime would be devastating, but it is survivable. But losing the hardliners by talking to the murderer of Qasem Soleimani with an executive order that is asking for way much more that Trump says he wants, that will be the end of us. That will definitely be the end of us. That would mean the losing of. I mean, the reason why I show you the videos of people saying, "Get the fuck out, Zarif," and people attacking Rohani in the celebration festivals that they had for the Islamic Republic, to show you the level of sensitivity the hardliners have towards doing any deals with America. This is why Khamenei has to choose not talking to Trump rather than angering the hardliners. Right? And again, these hardliners who are angry with the regime, remember, I used to tell you there's two things that makes them angry. This is now the third one is being added. It was Israel, hijab, and now negotiation with the United States is being added to that list. So with that all in mind, let's listen to this is Pezeshkian falling in line with the supreme leader after that speech. When Khamenei came out and said, like, undeniably, without any hesitation, sometimes he talks in a way that you could have multiple interpretations. That's what Khamenei does. He's clever like that. But this time he came and he basically closed the door to negotiations. And when he said that, it became clear to the reformers that they have to all fall in line and just basically repeat what Khamenei said. So let's listen to what Pezeshkian is saying here.
Trump میاد اعلام میکنه که من میخوام بیایم گفتگو کنیم.
He says Trump comes and says that he wants to talk to us.
بعد همونجا که میگه گفتگو کنیم تمام توطئه‌های ممکن رو برای به زانو در آوردن این انقلاب برمی‌داره امضا.
But right as he's saying that he wants to talk to us, negotiates with us, he comes out with all the conspiracies and all the ways to try to make this Islamic revolution bend the knee. Make our revolution bend the knee. Okay, so that he said that, but hold on. Let's go to this video that he continued. So this is basically, you can see the place he's talking. This is the same celebration event, the 22nd of Bahman, which is the celebration by the hardliners and the Iranian regime of the victory of the Islamic Republic, 40, I don't know how many, in 1979, right? So these are the people celebrating, and the president is speaking to them. So listen to this. So remember, the levels of allowable expressions of hate among the reformers, Zarif is the most hated, right? So you're allowed to go full on. I mean, you're not technically, the regime officials will not do it themselves, but the hardliner base will just go after him aggressively. After that is Rohani, but Zarif is more hated. But Pezeshkian, he himself is the president right now, and Khamenei has said a few nice things about him. So even though the hardliners express hate for him, and they criticize him and they make fun of him and they insult him, they hold back, because Khamenei hasn't allowed them to go after Pezeshkian as aggressively by pointing here and there that he's with me, this is my guy. Okay, so, and that's why he's allowed to come and give a speech but he's the president. So let's watch this.
ما را از مذاکره میگم ما میخوایم مذاکره کنیم. تو اگه اهل مذاکره بودی چرا این غلطا رو میکردید؟
So he says Trump tells us that he wants to negotiate with us. But if he wants to negotiate with us, then why is he doing such? Why is he doing this? But he's saying it in an insulting way. He's saying, why is he doing such? I think the best translation in English would be, why is he doing such? Why are you doing such shit? Like, why are you doing such these things? But the vocabulary he's using right here is the vocabulary, the insulting vocabulary that Khamenei uses. So his vocabulary here is getting because much closer to Khamenei, the way he's using words. Because remember, before this, Khamenei was kind of suggesting his hatred for negotiations, and Pezeshkian was when his vocabulary was more open and it was more, a lot more mellow, right? Now, what Khamenei gave in his speech, he's copying the very words Khamenei uses to refer to negotiations with the United States. So they're all basically falling in line.
میگه من دلم نمیخواد ولی تمام راه‌ها رو در تمام زمینه‌ها میخواد ببنده.
And Pezeshkian is saying that he says he doesn't want to pressure the Iranian regime. He doesn't want to do this, but he closes all avenues and all pathways to us to be able to do anything. He says he wants to close down medicine to us, water to us, food to us.
غافل از این که یک عمر داره از این کارها میکنه اگه میتونستن که تا حالا کرده بودن.
But they are ignorant. They think that they could do such things to us, but they have tried to pressure us for a lifetime and they haven't been able to. I don't know what he's talking about. His entire country is economically devastated. The value of their currency is dropping like a rock. It used to be by the day, but now it's by the hour. So I don't know why he's saying they cannot pressure us. I mean, have you looked around you? I mean, hey, Pezeshkian, can you go check the price of potatoes? And then come back at me like, what are you talking about? Like, people cannot afford the most basic shit. What are you talking about? Okay, let's continue.
مردم عزیز ایران مشکل اگر هست ما مدیرانیم.
So look at this. He's preparing the Iranian. He's preparing his own voter base that voted him in to maybe negotiate with the United States. He used to say that he's changing his words because he used to say that we could solve the economic situations. Vote for me. We will come and we will do negotiations with America and everything, and we will solve everything, right? But now he's saying that if there's any problem, the problem comes from us. From within, like the staff. So basically, he's basically kind of shitting on his own reformist government, right? He's saying we are the problems. He's saying basically he's copying what Khamenei has said, saying that nothing good would come out of negotiating with the United States. They are basically trying to prepare the minds of people that. Because some reformist Iranians among the Iranian people were hoping that maybe there would be talks with the United States and some of this hardship would go away. But now he's saying, you know what? Don't wait for that. Nothing good would come out of the fact that they're signaling to Iranian people that not to wait for any negotiations suggests that they're actually very serious about not negotiating with Trump.
ما به شما قول میدیم با تمام وجود در مسیر شهدا.
So he's now promising to Iranian people that they will find ways to make things better, right? Given that there seems to be no negotiations coming. He says, I promise you people that we will follow the path of the martyrs, which is a problem. Yeah, that's exactly what we need, Pezeshkian. He says that we will do our best. So he's trying to promise Iranian people that things are going to get better. He says, I promise you, Iranian people, the shortcomings is from us, not because we're not negotiating for the United States. We could do better. We will follow the path of the martyrs, as if that's going to fix things in Iran. And he says that we will follow the leadership of Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader. So Darko is saying, what is the plan though? There is no plan. That's a very good. Okay, so because he's not even promising to change anything, he's promising to try. He's saying we will hold. He's saying our plan is to follow the way of the martyrs, to follow the supreme leader, to hold each other's hands, and to try our best. Try our best to do what? He doesn't say. Because that's always what Pezeshkian has promised. To try the hardest, but they don't actually have a plan. In fact, Pezeshkian became the president with the promise of not having a plan. And I kid you not. He says, I don't need a plan because my plan is to just follow the supreme leader. And he's apparently a reformer. This is what passes as a reformer in the Iranian politics right now. The person that says that famously said was proud of not having a plan because he said there's no plan needed because all we have to do is just listen to the supreme leader and follow his command. I mean, I don't understand why you guys have even elections if all you have to do is just follow what the supreme leader says. And guys, I'm not exaggerating. That was what he said even before he got elected. Oh yeah, so he's saying we will hold hand and we will try our best to fix our poverty and all the other problems. Oh, so to fix injustice, to fix poverty. Oh, Sarah is saying he's quite nervous up there that he's not able to speak his mother tongue out properly, voice shaking out of fear. Okay, so I think Sarah is referring to the fact that he's half Turk, half Kurdish.
با همراهی و همدلی تولید کنندگان صنعتگران.
So it's like we will hold hands, we will fix poverty, we will fix injustice with the help of the producers, with the people, with the help of the industrialists,
تولید کنندگان صنعتگران دانشمندان اقتصاد
with the help of the scientists, with the help of the economists.
مملکت دست به دست هم خواهیم داد.
We will all hold hands. He's famous for basically giving this empty, let's hold hands and work out. Like this is all he knows how to do. Like he actually doesn't do anything else other than coming and say like, let's just hold hands and work together and make things better. And the next day things gets worse. And then he comes out like, guys, I know things are bad, but let's try our best to make things better. And then things keeps getting worse. And then he comes out and says the same thing. That's what he does. Like we will fix all these problems with the power of God and with the leadership of our Lord Supreme Leader. Yeah, this is like, as you can see, guys, things are getting fucking worse. Like this is what we have as a government. Let me actually show you this video. This was a woman within the celebrations, the 22nd of Bahman celebrations for the victory of the Islamic Republic over the Pahlavi dynasty. You know, I don't know how many years has it been, 40, 45, 40 something. How many? Wait, no, 46, right? Yeah, 46 years. So this woman was holding a sign. I mean, there's a lot of videos like this. I could go on for hours showing you some videos from the event, of people, what signs they were holding. Actually, I mean, I can show you so many funny things from the. Given that I'm talking to you guys, maybe I should show you at least this. There were two donkeys seen at the event. Yeah, actually, before I show this woman, let me show you the donkeys. You guys want to see donkeys at the... By the way, the crowd is so much less than previous years, but yeah. So there were two donkeys seen at the festival with the American flag. So this is their way of insulting America and Israel by putting... Because apparently being donkey is an insult, right? So they're trying to insult the United States. And let me actually show you another video from the festivals or celebrations. I don't know what you call it, to show you how little people showed up compared to before. So you can see actually, even in this picture, you can see that there's not that much of a crowd, right? Oh, wow. Is that a Hezbollah flag there? Is it a Hezbollah flag? I mean, it's yellow. I don't know. No, it says Lashkar. It's not a Hezbollah flag. Daniel saying, "Hey, I'm American and I agree." Well, I mean, you agree on what? On insulting America? Well, then you're still hating Americans. So, yeah, I mean, if you hate America and you agree with the insult America, you've been brainwashed by either leftists or the Islamic Republic lobbyist within American media. So congratulations if you are hating on America. But yeah, but I don't know why they are against. Oh wait, is that the British flag there? Oh yeah, I missed that. I thought it was just United States and Israel. Apparently, the British flag is guys. This is I don't understand why the UK has an embassy in Iran. Look at the way that they treat the UK. I mean, at least these two countries can be like, we don't have an embassy there. UK, they constantly say death to the UK and they insult the UK. And if you're a citizen of the UK, you should be demanding the closing of your embassy in Iran. Like, what the hell is this? Like, they constantly saying death to the UK. I mean, that's a declaration of war. But yeah, okay. So you can see that there's nothing, there's not that many people showing up there. But just to confirm, because what they do, even if there's not that many people showing up, they try to get a lot of people into a small area and squish them in, and then they get the cameras into the crowd to try to pretend like there's a huge crowd showing up. And this year they were trying to control videos coming out for people not to see how little people showed up. Okay, but there were a lot of videos actually managed to came out that people saw how low the population was. But this video went viral because I don't know who released this video and why they released it, but this was a video going on top of the crowd, throwing like flowers on top of them. I remember this. My school took us to when I was in Iran, we were forced to go to these events by our school. And it used to be huge. Like, it used to be big crowds, like a sea of people all the way to, as far as the eye could see, right? But look at this. This is a helicopter flying over the people, throwing flowers on top of them. And look at how many. That's it. So you see, like, that's it. That was the crowd, and you can see that they squished them into a small area, because it used to be when they fly over them, it was street after street after street, like it would be forever, like it would be a sea of people constantly going. But you can see, like, one more time, but you can see, even though it's a small group of people, because the cameras on the ground is meant to look them like a big crowd. You know how Hamas managed to convince the world media that there's actually a big number of them in Gaza right now, and we saw the pictures from the top and saw that actually there's not that many of them, but from the ground it looked very high. You can see it here as well, that they're pushed together. Yeah, and also the Persian writing on the video, the caption says that this is the real imagery from a plane. Is it a plane? I thought it was a helicopter. From a plane that of the 22nd of Bahman. Watch the difference between what you see here and what they show you on TV. Right? So that's what they're saying. Okay. So let's look at this woman on the ground, and what she showed up, and let's see what she's chanting. So she's saying that it's donkey talk to talk to America. Donkey talk, donkey. Okay, so in Persian language, being a donkey or acting like a donkey means like acting like an idiot, right? So she's saying it's idiocy to talk to America, to negotiate with America. So she's saying whoever negotiates with America is an absolute donkey. So she's holding a sign. He's saying مذاکره با قاتل شهید سلیمانی ممنوع. So her sign says negotiations with the murderer of martyr Soleimani is forbidden. That's what her sign says. What? I don't know what she's saying about Namus. Oh, okay. So she said something I didn't understand, but then she said Khatu sar bishur kesafat Zarif. We're back to Zarif. We're back to insulting this guy. Okay. So she said Khatu sar bishur kesafat Zarif. Khatu sar means dirt in your head, idiot, filthy Zarif. So she called Zarif 3 names. Dirt in the head, so basically replacing what's in your head with dirt. Dirt in your head, filthy, idiot Zarif. Okay, so that's what, and she yelled at him with such passion. Like, look at the way she's, the intensity. Okay, so guys, you can see how useful Zarif is, right? Zarif is basically here to basically take all the blame. Did my water bottle drop? Oh yeah. Be careful with this. Okay. Oh, Borogura, get the fuck out of this country. So she's telling Zarif to get the fuck out of this country. Look at the hate. Look at the level of hatred for Zarif. Oh, no, Muset Bakala Amrikaya Bashe. Okay, how do Mazda? Can you give me I don't know how to translate that into English. That is like I think that there's so many Persian sayings that you have to know that it's not even worth it. Like, for how long do you want to ruin the lives of our young? So she's basically suggesting that people are like Zarif are selling Iran to the enemies of the revolution, and that is basically destroying the lives of the young Iranians. Okay, yeah, it's not easy to translate courses. Until when? So she's talking to Zarif. She's saying, until when do you want to take away our nuclear weapons? So this lady is concerned with Zarif. Zarif apparently is giving up our nuclear weapons to America. Destroy what? فدایان رهبر رو نابود کنی? Is that what I think she's saying, if she's saying فدایان رهبر رو نابود کنی, if I'm hearing her correctly, she's saying, until when do you want to destroy the people loyal to our supreme leader, to our leader? Meaning Khamenei. Ilahi chi? I like God willing. Okay, I don't know what she said in the last 2 parts, but the cameraman is congratulating her for her passion. But look at the level. Like, let me just play this. It's only 30 seconds. Just listen to the level of passion and hate that she has.
یعنی اگر بخوای دیوونه اگر بخوای ناموست بخوای آمریکایی هم شد برو مذاکره کن خط تو سر کثافت بشون زنی برو گونت از این کشور گم کن تا که بخوای دیوونه بربندار کنی تا که بخوای سلاح استیبار از ما بگیری تا که با فدایان رهبر رو بخوای نابود کنی الهی بلی بر نگردی الهی بلی خیشانت تکه میزنی
Anyways, I have so many more interesting videos from this event. They're like, they had Trump. They had like what is it called? Something made like that looked like Trump, and they were like attacking him. That they were shoving a missile into Trump's, I don't know what, in the event. Like they made it look like of Trump. Oh, they had people with masks of Trump and Netanyahu behind bars. It was just ridiculous, and a lot of Iranian people were like sharing these images and laughing and making fun of it on Iranian social media. So it was this whole thing. Anyways, let me actually answer your questions. These are the questions that Thank you so much, Sarah. Sarah, you've been really helpful today. And also both Sarahs have been very helpful today. So thank you for that. Let me answer the questions and comments that Sarah has starred for me to respond to. Let me remove some of this so I have more room here. And guys, let me know if you appreciate me doing more streams like this. I want to see if I should go back to the whole, like, should I continue doing more nuanced, more detailed topics like this? Or like, let me know in the comments. Okay, so I want to make sure that the stuff that I'm doing here is appreciated. Okay, or else I'm wasting my time, right? So Mazak saying Iran needs money. If USA doesn't let Iran to access oil market, why Iran should make a deal? What? Iran needs money? You mean the Islamic Republic? Iran needs money. If USA doesn't let Iran to access oil market, why Iran should make a deal? Well, okay, so I don't know what you're saying, Mazak, but if you're talking about the Iranian regime, the only way that the Iranian regime is going to have access to selling its oil is by doing a deal with United States. If the if the Iranian regime, as of things are right now, if the Iranian regime does not do a deal with Trump is going to basically, just like the before the sanctions, before the Obama deal, and even after the before and also the first term of Trump, this right now the Iranian regime is selling a lot of oil, even though they're completely sanctioned. They're finding ways to go around it and sell a lot of oil to China. If Trump the first time managed to bring Iranian oil sales down to zero, close to zero. So if they do not do a deal, they would not be able to sell their oil. I don't know what question means, but if they want to have any revenue from their fossil fuels, they need to do a deal. Remember, but Biden administration looked away from the Iranian regime selling its oil as a tool to control inflation, right? Because if you remove Iranian oil from the market, oil prices goes up everywhere, and Biden administration was not able to didn't want to tolerate that, right? However, maybe Trump is trying to get oil from American soil instead by removing the regulations. So Nam Mustafa is saying, why is the Iranian regime not smart enough to make laws less strict to control its people? Are they naive? Their regime can fall. No, they're not naive at all. Again, if you follow my streams, you will know that why they cannot make it less strict. Because the hardliners that I showed you, they are the last remaining base support that the regime has. So the Iranian regime actually wants to make the laws less strict as a way to reduce the chances of a revolution by the more liberal, secular-minded people. But by doing that, they might actually start a revolution from the hardliners. And again, even though they are a minority, they are a bigger threat because they are the only remaining support that the regime has that the regime cannot afford to lose. So that's the reason. They're not idiots. This actually makes political sense. I mean, it doesn't make moral sense. I mean, this is what happens when you use religion to create your base support, right? When you start a religious base support or a cult, at some point you're going to lose control. I mean, Saudi Arabia learned this way before the Iranian regime. Saudi Arabia was building madrasas all over the globe, trying to increase building madrasas teaching Wahhabism as a way to increase their soft power. The thing is that when you use Islam to increase your soft power, this religion is not focused on this world, okay? They're focused on a different world. They're looking at an afterlife. I mean, so some of your base support is looking after power and enriching themselves and basically worldly stuff. But if you actually manage to make a base support that is genuinely focusing on the Mahdi and the afterlife and religious mumbo jumbo, at some point, if you need pragmatic things, they are going to steer away from you because they're not looking at pragmatism. They're looking at making Allah happy or the Mahdi happy. right? So that is when you, this is like a Frankenstein monster situation. You build this monster as a way to for it to protect you and make basically let it loose upon other people. But at some point it's going to come after Dr. Frankenstein himself, right? So Saudis, they spread Wahhabism to increase their soft power around the world, and now they're regretting that, because Wahhabis, I mean, we have ISIS, we have Al Qaeda, we have most Wahhabis would want it, would love to topple the Saudi regime now, right? So now Saudis are like going completely the opposite direction, because everything that they built is now turning on them. And now, many years later, the Islamic Republic is experiencing the same thing. I mean, this is the type of base support that you will eventually lose control, because they are loyal to something that you made them something loyal to something above you. The only way that you could maintain them, like if they're loyal to something above you, which is God or the Mahdi, the only way that you could maintain such a religiously minded, zealot crowd is by creating something Mahdi like within your own government. Whether it's Imam Khomeini or Imam Khamenei, you have to somehow elevate that figure to the position of one of the 12 imams, a holy figure. Like, you cannot, if you are making these people loyal to a higher being like the imams or the prophet or Allah, and you're below that, well, at some point they're going to look at your actions and it's not completely in the direction of those people, and then they're going to not remain loyal to you, right? But the strategy is to, what if our holy figure is not somebody somewhere else above the clouds or in the past? What if he's right now here in the government himself? What if we make Khamenei holy himself? What if we make him the representative of the Mahdi himself here on earth in our government? That way you could create some form of religious mindset that will remain loyal to the government, whatever the government does. However, the problem with that is that at some point the entirety of the government is not going to be the supreme leader, and the supreme leader is at some point might want to do things that completely contradicts things that he has said before, which an entity that is infallible will not do. So he has to create other parts of the government that does those things that he said he will never do for him. And also another problem is that what do we do when we have worked so hard on making this person holy and then he dies? It's very hard to transfer all of that holiness to the next person. In the same way that Khamenei is enjoying a small percentage of the holiness of Khomeini, and the next supreme leader is probably going to enjoy much less even compared to Khamenei. So it's very hard to recreate that over and over again, right? So that, I think that answers that. So Dark is saying, are hardliners doubling down because they can feel the power is slipping away from them? Okay, depends on which hardliners you're talking about. We have, I mean, it's hard to believe, but there are hardliners that are more pragmatic. Okay, so are we the hardliners who are after wealth and power are more pragmatic than the hardliners that are after only Islamic ideals? Okay, so we have many. So I mean, this is, even what I'm saying is completely simplified version, because the hardliners in Iran, there are like multiple different fractions even within hardliners. Each one of their groups have different names. So they're also okay, and also the hardliners who are pragmatic, some of them are, the problem is that a huge portion of them make more money if the sanctions continue. And in Iran, we call them the Qasaban Tahrim. Let me see how you could translate that. So, Qasaban Tahrim. Businessmen, the business people of the sanctions. Okay? So they have made a business of the sanctions. So let me when it comes to interest, let me cut the hardliners into three parts. Okay, we have two of them pragmatic, third one idealistic. Okay, we have some hardliners who their priority is the survival of the regime, and they are pragmatic. These are the type of hardliners who want the regime to maybe do a deal with the United States, but they understand that they have to be very sneaky about it, or else the regime was going to fall because it's going to lose the base support. Because they're looking at everything and they're like, okay, we cannot survive. We cannot continue going like this. This is going to be the end of us, right? So they are pragmatic, even though they're hardliners, but their priority is not the people. Given that they're hardliners, their priority is not the betterment of the conditions of the Iranian people. Their priority is the survival of the regime above everything else. Then we have a second hardliner group, and these are hardliners who have become very wealthy, very powerful because of the sanctions, right? These hardliners, they probably have a lot of businesses that is connected to the IRGC that gets a lot of that has zero competition, that either from because of the sanctions, these are people. Okay, so the reason why they're making a lot of money is either because the sanctions have made the oil and gas be controlled by them and the IRGC, so the oil money and the gas money is going to them instead of the people. Even though the oil and gas money is being sold at a major discount, the fact is that they're not sharing it with people, they're keeping it. So that's making them very, very wealthy. And also because all the businesses that they control, the private businesses in Iran have no chance competing with them because of all the leverages that they have by being tied to IRGC and all the rules that they work in their favor and everything. And also because of the sanctions, the businesses that they control faces no competition from international businesses. So these are the hardliners who are against negotiations with America because they're just becoming so like the country is going down this shit, but they are getting richer, so they're just filling their pockets, right? So they're called Kasaban Tahrim in Iran, which means businessmen of the sanctions, right? And then we have the third hardliner group, and these people are against sanctions because, against negotiations with the United States because they are just idealistic, they're religious. The United States is the enemy of Islam. Israel is the enemy of Islam. Trump is the killer of Qasem Soleimani. They want hijabs to be enforced fully. They want, they're wondering why the regime has not annihilated Israel yet. Like, when is that going to happen? They're hoping for that to happen any day now. Like, why have Palestinians are being killed by the Zionists, and how come we haven't eradicated the Zionists yet? Like, why do we have all these missiles and these planes if it's not for eradicating Israel? So that's the religious hardliners, okay? And remember, the second group needs the third group. The hardliners who are making a lot of money from sanctions, they cannot come and say, like, oh, let's not negotiate with the United States because I'm making money off of this. They cannot say that. So they invest their money, the second hardliners invest their money in brainwashing the third group that I mentioned by spreading that ideology a lot so that they could appeal to the numbers of the third group to make the justification for not having any deals or negotiation with the United States. Right? So that's the power play between the hardliners. Okay, I'm not even talking about the reformers or the anti-regime people. Right? I broke it down for you guys. I'm actually very impressed with myself of how I broke this down. I don't know if you guys realize what juicy material I just gave you, but I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that. I don't know. I'm actually very impressed with that break. Okay, so then I'm saying Khamenei is very talented at speaking out of both sides of his mouth. Yes, that's very true. Susanna knows this stuff. Giving little pieces that can be seen as supporting either side. That is so true, Susanna. So on point. And speaking of, Susanna also says, Nayak speak the languages of progressives. Yes, lift the sanction. It hurts innocent civilians. USA is being too mean. Yes, USA is being mean, a bully, imperialist. So Nayak, so Zarif, right? This guy has learned how to speak the language of American progressives, right? So he is basically working for Khamenei, but the language that he has learned and all of his proxies in America are working on is the language of leftist, anti-imperialist, America is the bully, poor Iranians are being like, he knows how to use that language, and he's connected to many leftist progressives in United States, and his institutions like Nayak in America are basically focusing on exactly using that rhetoric. Like he knows, because he doesn't use Islamic language, right? He used leftist progressive language as a way to further the Islamic Republic's cause within American politics, and he has mastered that, right? So there's, and Nayak was part of his project. Paris saying, why did Obama believe them? I mean, for the same reason why, I mean, a lot of Americans thought that China will become a lot more friendly if it becomes economically prosperous. I mean, to be fair, it wasn't a good idea. Let's be honest, right? But I can see why somebody would think it's a good idea. Trade fixes a lot of things, when you, but it doesn't always work, especially when you're dealing with such a religiously minded, with a government that, even if it wanted to be pragmatic at sometimes, if it has a base of support that is this religiously minded, a lot of things that works in other places would not work with you. But I can see why some people think it would work, because honestly, like, even if a country is very, misbehaving, at the end of the day, if you start becoming economically active with them and trading with them, many times, eventually it starts behaving like a normal country, right? But the reason why that was false to believe for the Islamic Republic, because this is not a normal government. Even I'm not, when I'm talking normal government, I'm not talking about good governments. Even bad governments that maybe do terrorist activities, or maybe they are mean to their people, or they're brutal, or they're fighting other countries. Even bad governments, when they start increasing economic activity with the globe, they start behaving better at some point. Because why do they start behaving better? Because it's just good for business, right? But for two reasons, that doesn't work with the Islamic Republic. One, because it has a religiously minded base support that makes it difficult for such things to have the similar effect on them. But a second reason is because of even beyond religion, the way the economy of IRGC works, the way that the bunyans and we have been struck with a double curse, the Iranian people, because it's not just that it's a dictatorship that is oppressive to its people. Other dictatorships are like that, but it's a dictatorship that is actually making money out of its misery of its people. Beyond it just being religious, the IRGC's economic structure, if I one day go over the details of it with you guys, I don't know if you want me to do that, you could see that it actually makes financial sense for them to remain isolated and to keep the Iranian people poor. It makes financial sense to them for that. So the reason why I'm saying we've been hit with a double curse, because, for example, the Islamic Republic is a dictatorship, and the Saudi government is also a dictatorship. But the Saudi government doesn't benefit from the poverty of Saudi people. So even though they're a dictatorship, it is actually within their interest for Saudi citizens to economically prosper. But the Iranian people have been cursed twice with a religious dictatorship that has a weird economic structure that actually benefits from the misery of the Iranian people. So that's why the things that might work in other places doesn't work here, right? I mean, Saudi Arabia might actually become less and less theocratic, less and less religious, less and less authoritarian if it continues doing trade and economic activity with the rest of the world. But that doesn't work in Iran, unfortunately. This is why we say that there's no reforms here. There's no path to reform. This is why many Iranians are saying the only way out of all of this is to just get rid of this regime. Nothing else works. Yes, sketch. That's actually a good way. Sketch therapy is saying reformers are scapegoats. Perfectly. Yeah, that's what I should say next time. They're scapegoats. All right. I don't even have to respond to this. Are there any liberals in Iran? Probably more than whatever country you're in. I don't know. Yes. We have more liberals. Yes, there are liberals in Iran. We have actually the passion for liberal values is greater in Iran than I would say most advanced countries right now, given that we have tasted theocracy. Okay, I'm gonna. Wait, what is this? Okay, so somebody's saying, I always thought whatever came out of his mouth is nothing but tough talk and BS. You putting so much effort into translating and interpreting his BS seems like such a waste of time. Well, I mean, in fact, the fact that you think that shows that it's not a waste of time, because I'm showing you that it's not just simple tough talk. There's a lot of every single word that is coming out of his mouth. There's a lot of politics behind that, right? And the fact that a lot of people think, oh, this is just a man in a turban just talking religious nonsense and it's not worth understanding. I hope while watching this stream, you understand all the complexities behind everything that is happening within the Iranian politics. And the way, I mean, the fact that you think that shows what I'm saying is worth listening to, because that's the simple-minded way of looking at this is how many people look at Iranian politics when they see the so-called supreme leader talking. And I'm showing you that, I mean, these people are evil, but they're not idiots. And if you think they're idiots, then you are underestimating your enemies. And that's the best way to lose, right? You have to understand, if you really want to understand what we're dealing with, you have to understand the nuances behind all of this talk, right? Anyways, so if you appreciate that, make sure you like the stream. Thank you to all the people who give us super chats and also the membership gifts. Guys, please become members. We're trying to, I mean, again, don't become members if you are not in a financially comfortable situation. Please do not support us financially. But if you're financially comfortable and everything is well, please consider becoming a member. Let me see how many members we have now, because we're trying to reach 1,000. We were at 200 something. Let me see. We're trying to increase our memberships. Yeah, so we are 215. So we're not growing our membership. We need to get to 1,000 so that this channel is financially feasible. So please become a member if it's okay for you. Like if you're completely financially secure. But if you're not, just like the stream. Okay, like the stream either now or later when you're not driving or you're not exercising. Just come and like so that more people end up seeing the show and that this channel grows. Okay. And thank you to everybody who likes. Thank you to everybody who becomes a member. And thank you to the super chats. And thank you for people who leave a comment after the show is over and subscribe and hit the bell notification. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Liz. Thank you so much. Let's just give the 10 memberships. Thank you. to the people in the live chat. That's very sweet. Thank you, Liz. That's very nice. I appreciate that. Okay, guys. The least you could do is like, so do that at least. Okay. Thank you, Liz. That made me feel appreciated. All right, guys. I'm gonna go, and yeah, till next stream. Bye bye. Oh, wait, did we get a star here? Oh, and thank you, Sarah, for highlight both Sarahs for highlighting the comments.